Keeping these fools in my game of death. It seems like we fight every time we meet. I bow when I greet. Let's take it to the street.
I was just scrolling through Twitter, and I saw this very
I think you mean skeet.com or whatever.
What the hell? Twitter.
Yeah, it's what?
The app formerly known as Twitter. That
right, like in the old days.
There's this clickbaity headline from IGN that says Barack Obama was a Captain Falcon main in Super Smash 64.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
I think it is, and it seems to be referring to a Make-A-Wish Foundation where he played Smash Brothers with someone. I don't know if that qualifies as like your main. Like he probably played it like for 20 minutes.
Who the hell
found this out?
What a wild Make-A-Wish.
Wait.
I don't think I read the IGN version, but I did read an article that was saying that, you know, he definitely spent a fair amount of time in the 64 Smash game and was even known for having a Wii brought with him to office. And then probably his gaming time shrunk after
How
that.
much of Zero do you think he is tapped into?
Dude, very little. Listen, as much as I want that series to come back, not even a former president can make it happen.
You're jumping over the fact that somebody's Make-A-Wish was to play Smash 64 with Barack Obama.
It's not even the right Smash Brothers, I agree.
Or the right person.
John Cena.
That makes more sense.
He'll drop everything at the, like...
Yeah, well, remember that old meme of that girl, the blogger who had a crush on Obama?
No.
You remember that?
No.
What? You remember that, right? You're shaking your head over there, Austin. I'm not crazy. That was, I think she made like a song. It was...
The OK Boomer girl?
Oh, was that the same person?
Because she was a Bernie person.
We're not nearly terminally online.
All right, that brings me to my question: Who would Biden play as?
In 64?
You'd have to pry his hands off his Pong controller.
Well, wait, Joe Biden is a sole bad guy player in Guilty Gear Plus R.
I don't know what's
That's a
meme.
No, somebody competes under the name Joe Biden.
Oh,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
If I ever get a Make-A-Wish, I want to play Power Stone with Angela Merkel. That's my wish. I want to play Street Fighter Alpha with fucking Margaret Thatcher. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Speaking of fighting games,
with a dictator.
Well, speaking of fighting games, welcome everyone. This is Hot Button. It seems it's just about time for a third movie episode. After covering both the cinematic genius of the Super Mario Bros. Original jump onto the silver screen, as well as the cinematic disaster of Final Fantasy stumble into theaters, the only next logical task for us was to dissect the horrible/wonderful campiness of Street Fighter, a 1994 kung fu action flick designed to be the true live-action translation of the ever-so-popular video game fighting franchise of the same name. How did it fare? Well, it's a complicated answer depending on who you ask. Thankfully, I've got a room full of passionate film buffs with me who were willing to sit through yet another confusing blend of ambition and missteps in the strangeness that is Hollywood. An attempt to bring those spending quarters in arcades to come fork down dollars at the box office. But that's not to sound entirely cynical. What's often described as a black mark on the series by some people is balanced out by the cult-like status it's grown to achieve in others. Today, we're going to tell you where we fall, along with a full breakdown of how this project came to be and the effect it had in the larger world. I'm Randall Beatrice, here with Austin Blakesley.
Hadouken.
Dave Solitti.
Hello.
Kristen Linderman.
Hi.
Who I also need to give bonus credit to, as I believe this was your idea for quite a while.
Yep.
And
I sent you an article way back when at this point about the insanity that went into actually making
I
this
used
thing.
that article as quite a few points of reference in here. And so thank you for that. But joining us again online, Andrew Banks. What up?
I'm not so much an expert on Street Fighter, but I would consider myself more of a Street Fighter buff than a movie buff. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm the middle ground guy.
Yeah, you're the
I know
liaison.
just enough about movies and Street Fighter to bridge the gap.
Now, obviously, this isn't the only occasion of executives trying to marry our two industries together, movies and video games, and it certainly isn't the end either. However, 94's Street Fighter, not to be mixed up with The Street Fighter, a badass X-rated martial arts extravaganza from Japan in 1972 that inspired both the Street Fighter titles and Mortal Kombat. I think it actually has X-ray
Whoa.
moves in it. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I-
It's
That
wild.
is the first I've ever heard of this.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
No,
I'm
check it out.
surprised.
There's some gifts out there. But this holds a special, arguably nostalgic-driven place in many hearts. This, in the way the countless other adaptations throughout the 90s and early 2000s did not. Sure, there was MK, Don't Riot, and the Resident Evil saga from Paul W.S. Anderson that
Your
saw
favorite.
a considerable amount of cultural success somehow. Hell, even Doom to an extent, which we should do next. But my declaration is more about how nobody is really talking about the Wing Commander or Double Dragon movies or the Blood Rain trilogy these days.
Okay, Wing Commander, the one with Matthew Lillard, right?
Oh, is Matthew
I
Lillard
think
in
he
that?
is.
Yo, man, you remember when Blood Rain was a video game that made money?
Bring it back.
That was so long ago.
I love Blood Rain.
Yeah, what's
Remember-
Uwe Boll doing these days?
I think
remember-
he's retired. I think he's done.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's fighting everyone who says his movies suck.
Blood Rain was in Playboy.
Yes, she was the first.
The first digital woman in
mhm.
Playboy.
Yeah, but Marge Simpson got to Playboy too, didn't she?
No.
Marge-
Hold on.
Marge Simpson, yeah.
She was the first nude digital model because the first model was Aki Ross or whatever from the Final Fantasy. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah.
We did talk about
Good
that.
parallels. Yeah, look at this.
It won't be the only connection to her. But
Oh, great.
yeah. with that said, what did we think? I've actually never sat and watched like this in its entirety until last weekend. I only caught bits and pieces as a teenager. It's fucking crazy. And for those listening, our commentary should be out for you to follow along with us now, right? And except for Andrew, he had to do that shit by himself. But yeah, it'll definitely help give context. Who wants to go first?
So I voluntarily rewatched this movie yesterday to prepare for
Did
this.
you?
I'm gonna tell you, I think it's a good movie.
I know.
pretty fun.
I had a lot of fun, especially after the slog of Spirits. And this was
As a
far easier.
non-movie buff, I can tell you I've seen a lot of good movies, and this doesn't make the list.
Okay, let me
don't
amend
know.
that. This is a fun movie.
Yeah.
Yes, I completely
I
agree.
think it's thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we have a recording of it, but I feel like I didn't actually save a whole lot during the commentary because I was actually like watching and enjoying the movie.
Yeah, unlike when we were getting trailing off and using the bathroom and stuff for Spirits, this one we were engaged.
Yeah.
And there was just probably like a momentary silences where we're just kind of like forgetting that we're just watching it.
I will say this since we were talking, there is some wild use of sound effects in that movie that we just did not catch.
There is some
There's
Looney Tunes
boings
shit.
and twangs and
What's
at
better
one point
than-
Balrog's arm charges up like an engine.
Tasmanian Devil. No, it's the
missed that.
Tasmanian Devil from Looney Tunes.
You're
when
right,
He
that was
charges
the
his
sound.
punch.
Yep.
Because I took notes on all the things for these characters that just made me absolutely like lose my mind, and one of them was Tasmanian Devil sound effect on Balrog's punches.
Yeah. To be fair, if I did have like it's sort of like emotional connection to the lore of Street Fighter, maybe I would feel a little different.
I bet this
But-
pairs well with alcohol.
Well,
I could think
first
from
off, yes, it
experience.
does. Second, I'll say that Street Fighter doesn't care all that much about the lore of Street Fighter.
Okay, fair enough.
and it was a fool's errand to try to make a realistic movie out of it. In the sense that it's like, because they did try to set this in the real world in some capacity, right? Like not a single fireball gets thrown.
Yes,
you know?
we're digging
And-
into that. They dialed
Yeah.
down the supernatural stuff a lot. Like there's quite a
Yeah.
bit of guns and
Yeah,
shootouts
right?
for a movie called Street Fighter.
I think I said it in the commentary, but I'm still upset that we did not see Ken use a gun that just has Hadouken on the side and kill a man with it.
It's like a Romeo plus Juliet.
Yeah.
My big notes are I thought the costumes wonderful. Everybody everybody looks like they should.
Raul Julia.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's
Pretty
chewing the
close.
scene.
Yes, he's picking his teeth at the scene.
I'll say that I'm surprised that a movie made in the early 90s had the restraint to not give Cammy her actual like arcade costume.
Yeah,
and she's like the only one, because it's like they probably ran that by an actress and she was like, hell no. You know what I mean? Like it was like, do you have anything that looks like it could be that character but isn't that? And they're like, yeah, we'll come up with something.
The other thing I got to point out is that the hip hop soundtrack, full of original tunes where they say the name of the game in the it's like the only lyrics to the one. It'll just go Street Fighter, and then it'll just like be beats for like 90 seconds.
Bring
It
it back.
worked so well for Mortal Kombat.
This makes me
It's
think of
true.
the Donkey Kong rap.
That's got nothing on Buck Bumble.
So this is my third or fourth time watching this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think that it we're going down the list. Spirits Within was a anomaly.
Yeah.
But the Mario Brothers movie is the best video game movie ever made.
Agreed.
And this is number 2. And I think we're doing number 3 next because that's the original Mortal Kombat.
Yes, we are. I don't know about Annihilation. We genuinely were laughing at the who is it? Was it Balrog? Who was like, change the channel.
That was
No,
Zangief.
that was Zangief.
That was
Yes.
Zangief.
One of the notes I did make is Zangief has the best line.
Yes.
So.
He rules.
And
That guy
holy
rules.
shit, looks like
Oh, yeah.
Zangief. Like it's like he came first
Yeah.
and then the game happened. It's too
It's
perfect.
like, obviously, TV now, we got a lot of actual good video game. I hate League of Legends. Like, so much. And Arcane is
Arcane.
one of the best things ever made, ever, by anyone.
It'll be back in 2-3 years.
3 decades.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us is also incredible, but there's something to like the
Missing the charm of the camp.
2000s on
Yeah.
where they were just like the Resident Evil movies you mentioned, where they're like, you know,
The
that
Tomb
whole
Raider.
thing?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
put an
yeah.
umbrella logo somewhere and put zombies in it. People will understand. And then it's like, that was terrible. And then they tried to make an actual Resident Evil movie and it was worse.
Yeah, that was
I will. So kind
sorry,
of
I have
like
too much to say about
dovetailing
that.
off of that, like,
Mhm.
and maybe I just missed it because again, I really am not super familiar with the Street Fighter franchise. It didn't really seem like they were pandering to audiences too much. Not like, yeah, they didn't just have the umbrella logo thrown in there and be
No.
like, oh my
They
god,
did
I
have-
recognize that.
They were doing like the fighting move, like Honda had the
Oh, they had a
The,
bunch of
like,
moves in
fla-
there.
yeah.
There's the Shadaloo is a place. They had Bison's
But
logo.
nothing like too like I don't know.
no
like
nothing
shameless.
nothing winky.
But
like,
you know what?
yeah, like,
You know what the fucking Resident Evil movies don't have? A John Wayne Gacy clown that looks like M. Bison.
oh god, I forgot about
How
that.
could you forget?
Best scenes in the movie.
This movie is incredible. It's like
Watch
they're
it.
like the Mario Brothers movie. They're like, all right, make a Mario movie, and they're like, okay, but what if we made Blade Runner? And this, I don't know what. I guess like they're like, what if we made Black Hawk Down, but with Ryu in it? And I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay, as far as the wink and nod stuff goes, Kay, I'll say that something that genuinely impressed me was that there's that scene in the locker room toward the end, and Ken does a thing that's sort of like if you do the light version of the Shoryuken. It's like it's so close to that animation. It was definitely on purpose, although like it didn't like really give you like the
it seemed
strength
like the
that
fight
attack was supposed
choreography
to have.
had like like they were trying to follow.
Yeah, once they actually allowed the actors to fight, the fighting was pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Just
very
a lot of guns.
It's very like like they bury the lead on that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you don't see any two characters fight, and then suddenly there's a bunch of them happening simultaneously in the final act.
Yeah, the other stuff that I would say is a wink and a nod is basically the existence of most of the characters in this story that they constructed. It's like, oh, I don't know, what if Balrog was a camera guy and Honda ran the news truck? Like, the whole, like, the
Austin
motivation...
mentioned they flipped the roles between some heroes and villains,
Just
too.
two.
Yeah,
It's just-
so...
Because Balrog's supposed to be a bad guy and DJ's supposed to be a good guy.
he was always a boss.
Which I don't want to just say, are they racist, and then just switch the two black guys, right? but maybe they did.
Maybe.
But also, it's like, yeah, just the fact that these characters are there. Like most of the characters' motivations in the source material is just, I want to be the best and show that I'm the best, so I go to this tournament that the bad guy's holding, and they
They
like
gotta take some liberties.
Or
yeah, they
Andrew,
like didn't do that story at all, you know?
Andrew, do you think it's that, or do you think it's the fact that they wanted Balrog, the American, to be a good guy, and the Jamaican to be a bad guy?
You know, that's a good argument, especially since they're sure to like zoom the camera in on the American flag tattoo when Guile flexes too.
That tattoo looks
you-
so fake.
You know what? You could be right, man.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts, more or less, bringing us to the summary of the plot. Dave, as you were gracious enough to help us understand just what the fuck was even happening during the Spirits Within, following our viewing of that
I
battle.
helped.
I would like to say that we did not buy the novelization for Dave to read because it was only available
know.
for like $100
If
on
the-
eBay.
I
It's
toyed
a
with
comic.
the idea.
There's got to be
Yeah.
a PDF version of it out there somewhere. You could.
I found a Reddit thread of somebody begging for somebody to give them a PDF of it, and nobody could find one.
Oh man.
So, would you care to explain the narrative? And it's got to be more coherent.
Well, yes. So there is a solid through line in this movie of events happen and other events make sense that happen afterwards. So I should have a considerably easier time of explaining this one.
I will say before you start that this is the most coherent plot out of the 3 video game movies that we have done.
That's true.
Between the Super Mario Brothers movie and Spirits Within and this one makes the most sense, which is insane because it doesn't.
Yeah, but like, D'Souza, he knew what he was doing as far as like building the structure of the thing. Yeah.
So our
Lots
movie,
of characters, though.
Well, yes, a lot of characters
Fewer
tossed
than
in
there could have
for-
been.
Yeah.
So our movie opens with a civil war going on in the country of Shadaloo. Now, first thing I've noticed, this isn't a civil war. This is just M. Bison against the United Nations. Well, sorry, the Allied Nations.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
Which they look like legal, like just close enough. They have the
They
blue
got the
helmets.
blue
and-
helmets,
yeah,
the
and
white
everything.
lettering. They're the United Nations.
Yeah.
But yes, so the Allied Nations is trying to fight
The
back.
AN.
Hold on, Andrew.
Yeah.
Doesn't Chun-Li work for Interpol?
In the source material, but
Yeah.
not in this. Yeah.
No, I know, but like I
Yep.
guess you can't use that legally either, but like I wonder why the United Nations security force sucks ass. So why pick them over literally any other international police force?
Easy
Because
explanation
they're
as to
world
why.
warriors. Austin,
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Easy explanation as to why this international cast of characters
World
is all in
challengers.
like the same military organization, I suppose.
Well, that's the wild thing is that going with the plot. I'll get to it later.
So General M. Bison has a private army of mercenaries. He has taken hostages from AN peacekeepers and is asking for the outrageous sum that no one's ever heard of $20 billion, a sum that no one
gas.
man could ever possibly possess. For the release of these hostages, they have, I believe, 3 days. It's unimportant. The clock doesn't matter at all.
Oh yeah, there is a ticking clock element. I
They do.
forgot.
They even show it at certain
They
points.
do,
like,
yeah.
Only when it matters. They show it counting down from 72, and then they show it at 5 seconds. That's the only 2 times it shows up in the movie.
It might be in the background at some point at like 50. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, they just do a check-in so you know 3 days have passed.
Yeah, exactly.
At the beginning of the movie.
So in reporting on the situation are Chun-Li, Balrog, and E. Honda, the reporter crew for some news organization, I forget, and they close in on our all-American
There's only
lead-
one news organization.
One news organization,
Apparently,
of course. Our all-American lead, Jean-Claude Van Gaal, just our boy in blue, just the most American man to ever play.
Not even. Do you think they actually at any point attempted to have him do an American accent?
I hope that there were weeks.
They
of reshoots.
pronounced Sagat like 3 different ways in the movie.
Sagat.
Like, Sagat. Like,
Yeah,
Cybot.
that's the crazy thing is they're the world warriors, right?
Yeah.
And it's like we're already Chun-Li is not Chinese, even though she is in the game. So she's more American than Guile, the American from Street Fighter.
who does
Yes.
not sound it at
With
all.
an
Well,
American
no,
flag.
Ken's
Yeah,
American.
the dude, they got the tattoo. He's the dude who works for the military and has the American flag tattooed on his bicep, but he's got like a Belgian accent.
I did.
more
I-
American
I,
than that.
I jotted down a note here, and maybe Dave was going to get to this at some point, or maybe Randy was. But for a character that they spend the entire movie pronouncing Ryu,
Ryu.
Jean-Claude Van Damme puts in a Ryu and pronounces it correctly for all the other people that
Yep.
he pronounced incorrectly. And I don't know if they let it rock because they thought that was just his accent and didn't want to criticize him for it, or if they just like accidentally let him pronounce it correctly. I'm really not sure.
They got him in the ADR booth, just let him do whatever he wanted to.
Yeah, the editor fell asleep. I don't know.
So Jean-Claude Van Damme, Guile at this point, is calling out to one of his friends who has been captured, Charlie, effectively signing his death warrant by knowing that one of the people who's coming after him is, friends with one of the peacekeepers.
Right?
Yeah, huge tactical error.
So Charlie Carlos Blanca, wink, wink, is chosen to be experimented on to become the first of M. Bison's genetically enhanced super soldiers. So he's strapped into.
They put some dye in him.
Yes, we'll get to the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, Spirit Halloween wig.
So, a second captive, Dr. Dalsim, straps Carlos Blanca into a machine and starts showing him just images of like war footage, like raw war footage, houses burning down, and like people kicking puppies to like
Yeah,
essentially
he gets
program
Clockwork
it.
Orange.
Real quick, I got another question for Andrew. Is Charlie is not in Street Fighter 2?
Correct. No, he is dead before Street Fighter 2 starts. But then they have him in Street Fighter Alpha games, which take place before Street Fighter.
I know chronologically they take place before Street Fighter, but did they exist before this movie came out?
I double-checked, and no. So the first Street Fighter Alpha came out in 95, and this movie was 94, right?
So they just used the name Charlie for Guile's best friend. Not I might have been in production.
I don't know,
might have
I don't know
done
what
that.
they're talking about either. It's
So
like clicks and
there's
buzzes to me.
there's a character from Street Fighter Alpha named Charlie Nash who is Guile's best friend, and he dies before Street Fighter 2 happens.
Yeah,
in the
I
lore.
think you get it from either like the intro or outros that like Guile was fighting for a friend Charlie who Bison killed, right? Like you get that much from the little bit of story that's in there. And then I guess as they're trying to somehow fit Blanca into this story, they're like, what if he was Charlie? And then just rolled with that, and then they made like Carrot Top after he was exposed to gamma radiation or something.
I mean,
you know?
Blanca's a recognizable looking character.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I just wanted to check because it is weird that they used Charlie, who in the lore is Guile's best friend, who got killed by M. Bison before the game that happened.
Yeah.
It existed. I wonder if Capcom
Then they
told them that while they were making Alpha.
They captured him and then increased the muscles exclusively in his forehead.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll get to the wonderful prosthetics later. The reveal is
Carry on.
just chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So yes, captive Dr. Dalsim begins reprogramming Blanca. Dalsim, should be said, not super happy about it. In chains the entire movie.
Yes.
As I believe his character is in the games as well. So sure, why not? We'll explain it that way. So he's doing this against his will. So then we flash out to a black market where we see Ken and Ryu selling guns to Sagat and his cage fighter Vega. The guns that they sell them are discovered to be fake, so we find out that Ken and Ryu are both just con men trying to con a criminal organization with Nerf guns.
Always
fight
a
their way
smart
out.
idea.
Yes. They attempt to fight their way out, get captured by Sagat and his team. And
The Nerf gun reveals like one of the few like jokes that set up. Otherwise, the movie plays it relatively straight.
It also
like,
plays it very much like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
I did notice the sound effects
Just the
at that
tone
point.
is like
yes, the sound effects are incredible.
It is not the best joke in the movie.
no.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, like at the hour mark, the movie
It
completely
remembers that it
changes
wants to
tone.
be a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they get captured. Ryu is now going to be fighting Vega in the cage, but the entire party is busted down by Guile and a tank with what appear to be nuclear missiles on the front.
So good.
Because
so
everyone is
fucking good.
everyone in the area is breaking curfew, so this one man arrests 200-300 people.
Yeah.
Just as
I'll go along with it.
ICBMs strapped to the top of his tank that he just drives
Into a building.
into a
But
building.
they were so
through a
afraid that he
building.
was just going to nuke everyone that they surrendered.
If you're gonna storm into a building full of people and arrest them all, a tank is not the best option. I'm just gonna say that. Tanks are not meant to fight individual people. You can just climb on that shit, pull Guile out, and kill him.
Don't tell them that.
Okay, so after everyone is captured, Guile is speaking with his crew, T-Hawk and Cammy, when a prison brawl breaks out between Sagat and his goons and Ken and Ryu. So after the prison fight, Guile thinks that he can use Ken and Ryu to infiltrate the enemy organization. He approaches them, offers them if they were to help him, he can help them get out of the
This
situation.
is how that convoluted ass plan starts. Or
Oh boy! So technically, you don't see them make an agreement.
Yeah.
So after that scene,
Big
they're
reveal.
being transferred from the jail to presumably second jail, I guess. And Ken and Ryu stage a breakout wherein they steal the keys for their shackles from one of the guards, and also release Sagat and Vega, who are now ingratiated to them.
Yeah, they're hijacking a truck.
A gunfight with very real bullets breaks out between all of the UN peacekeepers who presumably have no idea that there's possibly a plan going on and shooting real actual guns on these actual escaping convicts. But then Ken gets a gun and begins shooting at
Like he has in the game.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
His gun called Hadouken.
Yep.
And begins shooting at Colonel Guile, who's trying to stop the truck. And Colonel Guile, once again, shooting actual live bullets because he does take out one of the headlights.
Yes. Yeah.
So, gets shot twice in the stomach by Ken and is
Seemingly.
presumably killed.
Yeah.
After this, Chun-Li straps a tracker to the truck so that she can keep track of where they're going.
But not the only tracker.
How long was he waiting in that morgue?
Yeah, oh boy. So so at this point,
I thought about that too, Randy. I was like, are you serious? If this was his plan the whole time, why was he waiting until now?
He has like the sheet pulled over his head.
Yeah,
Just
he's
be like,
like, gotcha.
just waiting for it. Like, it's gonna be so good.
Those guys don't know what's coming. That's gonna be great.
so at this point, Chun-Li has a tracker on the truck to try and figure out where these convicts are going. Finds out that there's a second tracker on the truck that is jamming her tracker's tracking signal. So they have to track where the second tracker is coming from so they can pick up the information from their tracker.
Is that what was going on?
Yep.
Yes.
I hate when I'm trying to track somebody's location and somebody puts a jammer on my tracker.
Yeah.
Isn't that the worst?
So she wanders into the AN. Oh, sorry. First of all, she dresses up with a black hood on in midday to sneak around in the AN headquarters. Locates the tracker in the morgue. Sure, why not? Next to a dead body of Guile. She pulls the sheet back. Guile does not move. Returns the sheet. She then turns around and Guile sits up. So presumably, they took him to the morgue. Didn't tell anybody that he wasn't actually dead. Put him in the freezer because they show her breath. So it's cold in there. He's just laying under a sheet, presumably dead. And he's waiting for someone else to come in so he can jump scare them.
But he knew it was going to be her, though.
Of course.
If money wasn't an issue, I would also sleep in sub-freezing temperatures. So,
Fair enough.
yeah.
So at this point, it is revealed that Guile was not shot. However, his plan for faking being shot was to put 2 squibs on a piece of cardboard, which were then shot by actual real bullets by Ken, who must have the best aim in the
it was
world.
a very, very
The
small
best aim with
piece
no
of cardboard.
penetration bullets.
Very tiny.
If you're gonna use squibs, you can just
Yeah, that's what
Make
squibs
them-
are supposed to do. They explode. You don't have to shoot them.
No, you shoot blanks that trigger the squibs. That's how you use
right.
squibs.
Well, right, but as
Yeah.
Dave pointed out, they're using actual.
I know.
Yeah, because
well,
real damage is happening.
Also, his squibs are just like McDonald's ketchup packets
Yes.
strapped to the side of a ripped up Amazon
It was an
box.
entire crowd of people that surrounded him, and like, he's really good at.
I don't know
planning
who
ahead,
that.
I guess.
I don't know who that mortician is, but they should be fired.
Were the EMTs in on it too?
Well, yeah, they pronounce
They'd
them
have
dead.
to be,
Oh, well.
right?
Yeah.
I think we're thinking about this too
Yeah.
much.
Continue.
So yes, at this point we start getting backstories of these characters. Chun-Li reveals that she has a vendetta against M. Bison. She needs to go and take care of him herself.
Accurate to the lore.
Yes.
They skip over the Interpol part, but that part is yeah, accurate. Go on.
So Chun-Li and her team leave, now also knowing where the escaped convicts have gone, along with the AN forces. So they track them down to a black market with someone on a loudspeaker just announcing everything that's going on.
Yeah, my crimes.
Oh my god!
Just
All the
reading that
PA
off.
speakers. I forgot
Yeah.
to
Yes.
that up. There's so much.
Everything is announced over PA speaker. Like just the most dedicated voiceover
That's
artist.
the way
It's
of
like, well,
delivering exposition. Is just
Yes.
like the
Yeah, I do like the exposition of not having a character explain anything and not having a voiceover explain anything, but like a diegetic in-world PA everywhere just being like, this is what's going on.
It's better than a bored Harrison Ford being forced to, like, after the fact, narrate
Oh.
the movie he starred in, with Blade
Frenchies
Runner.
to
They
the
made
wind.
they made
Yeah.
him do multiple takes because they thought he was stoned, and I think he was just didn't care.
And those were those were the best ones, huh?
yeah. Yeah.
Part
Woof.
Part time.
Part time.
So at this black market selling American helicopters and various and sundry other weapons, Chun-Li and her crew provide entertainment to sneak in, and Ken and Ryu, who are now ingratiated to Sagat and his crew, are being shown the 5-star treatment. And at this point, Chun-Li entices Ken to follow her into her tent, where she then knocks him out. Ryu goes looking for him
Yeah.
and also gets knocked out by, I believe, E Honda or Balrog or someone. It doesn't really matter. Eventually, all of our protagonists are in the same spot.
Yeah, they meet at the You Only Live Twice volcano lair.
Yeah,
and
so
then
I want to say I could be wrong. I could be a little early on this, but I think this is where Ken delivers one of my favorite lines in the movie, where he says, after everybody's captured, he says, "This sucks. Those guys are good guys like us."
I think he says that multiple times.
Yeah.
Like something to that effect multiple times
Wait,
about them being the good guys.
we didn't
or
gloss
something.
over the stealth speedboat, right?
No,
no,
that's
that's
that's way
Oh,
later.
that's
We're
way
not-
later.
we're
yeah,
not there
yeah.
yet.
Sorry.
Is Ken an unrepentant horn dog in the games too?
No, in fact,
No.
he is a family man who settles down
What?
and marries Guile's sister. Yeah,
Oh,
Dude, he's like a douchebag
And
in the
then-
movie.
Yeah, right?
He
yeah, I
has
know.
a
So,
kid-
no,
They have a kid, and then he gets divorced and gets into crypto, and that's the story of Street Fighter 6.
but like that, honest, I could see that arc for movie Ken. You know,
Yeah.
it makes a lot
Yeah.
more sense.
that's what everyone thought happened in Street Fighter 6 from the pre-release, but it's a little different. No, it's a little different.
Changed my mind. That's exactly what I played that campaign mode, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so, oh god, Black Market. Okay, yeah, so Black Market, Ken and Ryu are captured by Chun-Li and the other, oh man, good guys. And Chun-Li reveals that she has a plan to blow up the Black Market and hopefully take out Bison and Sagat and his crew all at the same time. Meanwhile, Sagat and Bison, who are on shaky terms, sign a deal together, and Bison tries to pay Sagat with Bison bucks. Literally
Bison bucks.
Literally $100 bills with Raul Julia's face on it.
Funny
Just-
money.
Tell me they sold those.
I know.
as, like,
I
oh,
hope
God.
those props still exist.
I want a
Screen
stack.
used Bison
But-
bucks.
They're gonna be worth 5 times what the pound is.
Yes.
Yep.
Once he captures
Once the Bank of England, and once he captures the Bank of England.
No, when he captures, I believe, the Queen of England.
The Queen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, he's going to
That
get
would've
the
been-
Queen.
yeah.
Would have been Queen Elizabeth.
How many Deutschmarks are these worth?
I don't know the exchange rate from Bison bucks to Deutschmarks.
So at this point, Ken and Ryu are stuck in the middle of a fight between the two criminal organizations. They try to smooth over the issue by selling out Chun-Li and her crew. So they try to blow up the Black Market. Their plan doesn't work. So now the reporter crew is captured, but Ken and Ryu are now seen as like true members of the actual criminal organization. So they are being trusted.
Yeah.
Now we go
They're
to
the moles.
Yes. So now with everyone being captured except for Guile and his crew.
Yeah, this is what we get.
This is when we go to their weirdly like almost Aztec inspired ancient temple of a base.
Yeah.
For M. Bison.
I believe that's also accurate to the lore.
It is. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, get faulted for that then.
But like, it's a secret base, right?
Uh-huh.
And they're like, M. Bison is somewhere in Shadaloo, and it's like nobody thought to check the ancient Aztec temple.
Covered in radar dishes and guns.
Yeah.
They were like, no, too obvious.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be in there. That's where every evil dictator would put their base. Ken and Ryu are in good with the bad guys. Everyone's captured. Oh yeah, this is where we get the weird torture scene with E Honda getting whipped.
Oh!
And with
Oh
his
my
little
god, yeah,
smile.
when he smirks to him.
Yeah,
It's
it's a little uncomfortable. But apparently a part of Yokozuna training is just learning how to dissociate, like, entirely.
Yeah.
So he's...
I don't know. I mean, he could have just been a masochist and into it.
Well, no, he does explain it's part
Yeah,
of
I know.
my
Yeah.
brain can be elsewhere.
Yeah, he looked like he was in
Wrestlers
pain
do.
after.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
That's the most blood
it's
we
just
see.
disassociation. And it is
Yeah.
unhealthy.
Exactly. So the important part of this is that they just break out. So, like, really, that scene was very, very not necessary.
Yeah, because without, they were able to pull like the little like hoop holding
Yeah,
their
they-
chains
they
in
flex
place
and bust
with
out
like
everything.
in seconds.
Yes.
That is the shoddiest workmanship.
It is fun. I made this comment on the commentary, but it is funny to have like this high tech base with like radar dishes and all this shit. Then the torture chamber just looks like a medieval
Yep.
torture.
Yes.
Like there's like rusted axes and
Well, you can...
flails on the
In
wall.
the room next where all the TVs, like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when you put together a torture room, you have to actually purchase rusty tools. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
become
yeah.
stock.
Yeah, exactly. So at this point, we then also see that Chun-Li has been creepily separated from the others for a private
Yeah.
audience in my chambers.
Yeah.
So So we will.
And oh boy, what a chamber it is.
Could have,
We will
it
snap
could
to
have
the
been
chamber.
worse, like the anime movie.
Everyone take a break from this and go rewatch that scene.
we
with Chun-Li and
do get the
Bison.
greatest line in cinematic
It's
history.
Just
but-
take in
course.
that
Oh, yeah.
room. Take in that room.
Yes.
Oh, the room
Glorious.
with the painting.
Look at the background.
Yeah.
It's
Pay attention
amazing.
to every piece of decoration. The skull chandelier.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh,
It's
the glasses.
glorious.
The glasses that he pours the drinks into are amazing.
I
Yes.
forget what.
Oh my god, they're just like this. You have like this ornate like silver. They're amazing. You even have like little like
didn't he
umbrellas.
change too into like a velour version of
Uh-huh.
this?
The
Yes.
very
Yes.
first thing he did.
Yeah,
Yes.
like leopard
And
skin.
he changed hats. He has a hat in every color.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Dave, don't tell Dave, but for Christmas he's getting the biggest possible canvas print of that painting
The
of
John Wayne Gacy one, or the
No, I can't find that.
the
but
Pogo the, Pogo the clown.
the M. Bison one where he's on the horse.
If you could get that, can I give you the dimensions of like the wall of one of my rooms? Just get printed.
Yeah, I'll just get you a fat head that covers the whole wall.
Perfect. More we can scare my cats with it, the better. So we now, yes, as we had seen, Chun-Li has been creepily separated to M. Bison's private chambers
Slash gas chamber.
/ gas chamber and
Haven't
panic
gotten there
room.
just yet.
Of course.
You're getting ahead of him.
Yeah.
And as we're all admiring all of the wonderful decorations on the walls, including skull chandelier, as we had mentioned, M. Bison as Pogo the clown, aka John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer,
Never addressed
So fucking
actually,
bizarre.
and which makes it way better.
and also M.
But
Bison on a
should-
horse.
It should be noted. No way that's a coincidence.
Oh, no.
No, that's
no,
that's
no, no.
absolutely
It's
intentional.
fucking Pogo the clown.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like it's not just like a clown that kind of looks like
Yeah.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
It's exact.
He's in the same pose as the famous photo.
Yeah,
It is,
with
it
the
is
makeup
very
and
much.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I having a stroke or did John Wayne Gacy actually paint himself as Pogo in that?
He did. He
Yeah,
made.
okay.
Yeah, he painted a lot of
Yeah.
stuff for people.
Yeah, I think that is the specific reference
Yes.
it is making, which
he
is
painted
wild.
one of the ones he painted was for G.G. Allen, right? One of the
probably.
Pogo
That
paintings, I
sounds
think.
right.
Yeah.
So, and then we get. I'm not even going to do the line because you all know exactly which one I'm talking about. Just go to YouTube, pause this episode, listen to him deliver it again because I can't even do it justice.
It's
Best
perfect.
line from Street Fighter the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or just, I'm pretty sure if you just put in best line ST and just let it autocomplete, you'll get the rest.
You'll get there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Or just
it'll
Google-
take you where you want to go.
So at this point, the rest of the crew meets up. Ken and Ryu meet up with Honda and Balrog after a short misunderstanding. They find out they're working for the same people. And another thing that I noticed on rewatch is that Chun-Li is kicking the absolute shit out of M. Bison. Like, she is winning that fight until those
Yeah.
idiots fucking show up and ruin everything.
That's true.
Yep.
So
I
yeah.
did notice that.
She's absolutely going to, like, win this fight against Bison. He's on his back foot.
This was before he
And-
had his powers.
Yes.
His electricity.
Or when he changed out of his like super suit.
Maybe that's it.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe
that
that's
might
where
have
all the
helped,
power
yeah.
lies.
The velour saps him of his strength.
It's true.
And so then the four quote-unquote rescuers bust in. She gets distracted, and M. Bison runs for a panic room, locks himself in, and gasses the room, because of course his bedroom is also, as Randy mentioned, a gas chamber.
You never know.
With a door that has holes in it.
Yeah, ventilated.
Yeah, ventilated
ventilation.
door. Bad gas chamber design.
Apparently effective enough.
Yeah, I guess.
So at this point, the dead Colonel Guile walks out of the front building of the morgue that he's supposed to be interred in with his, death, and is reached by an emissary from the AN, who also apparently knows that he's not dead, even though it was broadcast on international television.
The one channel.
And yes, and he tells them that the AN is planning on capitulating, giving the outrageous sum of $20 million to M. Bison, or $20 billion, my apologies, to M. Bison.
You're going Austin Power route.
Yes,
like with that chick.
unfortunately. And tells them that, and I quote, "The war is canceled."
That's right. Yeah. War is canceled. Oh, this wave of disappointment from all of these eager soldiers.
So at this point, Guile gives an address to the soldiers saying that the AN wants to capitulate and cancel the war.
Very passionate.
Or we could just defy orders and form our own private militia. So at this point,
Which they
Guile...
immediately
Blackjack
come to
and
the
Rickers.
conclusion. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, what was the point of it?
Yes. So Guile is now a private warlord himself, has his own private army of, now, I guess, men without a state, because they're all war criminals now. Anyway,
of various different countries too.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Those
I'm
trials
also
are going to go
gonna
on
say-
forever.
That speech was no Independence Day. We won't go quietly into the night. You
No.
know, like I don't know that was really going to boost the morale of everyone there. It wasn't all that great, if we're being honest.
no.
Did everybody slow clap afterwards? I don't remember.
No, they were just like
No.
they were like
Oh yeah,
they were
it's
doing
just
a little
the silent
nod. Yeah.
Yeah, because at that point he scrambles them all, and they all go hop down to the water onto their
That's
boats.
right. Yeah, they literally walk 10 feet, and they're like, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the comically posh like British emissary from the AN is just like, you know, like, oh my word. And he's like all like
Gets water splashed on his glasses, and he takes out his handkerchief to wipe them off. And,
And yes, goes out to hold, but I have orders, and then drops them in the water like a real dweebus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Real shut up, nerd. Vibe.
Yeah, exactly. So the last line, the guy gets the last line in because the guy tells him that he needs to stand down, and he says, "Oh, I wish I could, but somebody just fired me." And he gets into his stealth boat that was very obviously made to be a Hasbro toy.
Yes. Oh yeah. We'll get
it
into
is-
that. Also, his stealth boat that has his name written on it.
Yes, his name, not like Rip or Deceased, just, you know, it's my boat.
oh yeah,
Who could
he
ever
walked
know?
out of
Faked
the
his
building
death
he
and got
walked out of
reported.
also had his name
Yeah,
on
He's
it
really
as
laying
the
low.
commander. Yeah.
the AN branding is very strong.
Yeah, he's doing just a terrible job of pretending to be dead at this point. He's just broadcast on national TV, getting in boats with his name on it.
So the stealth boat goes up the river to be the first one in to take out the radar station, so the other boats can then follow up for the rest of the army.
Yeah.
And so they activate their active camouflage and begin taking out radar towers very loudly
Yeah. Then
with very
just start
large guns.
shooting everything.
So we have the stealth boat just exploding things and leaving just the biggest wake, like both of destruction and on the water. So once again, not very stealthy. Nobody could possibly think there's a boat there in the jet wash.
Too bad it didn't go fully invisible and just had him sitting like uninvisible.
let's imagine for a second that the way that this boat was stealth was only that it avoided radar. And then they go to shoot the radars, and then they're like, "Sir, our radars went down." And it's like, what other possible conclusion could they come to other than someone is there?
Well, we get to see exactly what they're thinking later when we see a close-up of them going to visuals, trying to figure out exactly who's there. And they see no boat, but a wake.
Oh, that the wake is unmissable.
So at this point,
Yeah,
they
but a wake made by what, Dave?
you'll never know.
Could be a really large duck.
Dolphin.
Yeah. Why are there bullet shell casings coming out of that dolphin?
Angry dolphin.
He was shooting radar dishes and trees, and I'm not really sure what exploded. Because he was shooting them with bullets.
All radar dishes are just loaded with TNT. That's why they were
I
red.
guess.
In the 90s, yes.
It was one of those gas-powered radar dishes.
When they're out in the jungle, you know, they got to get the energy
Oh yeah,
from
and
the
those
generator somewhere.
gas-powered trees. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the stealth boat starts taking out the radar. We get a hilarious shot of just a jet wash or a boat wash with absolutely no boat in it. Everyone's completely confused as to what could possibly be in the middle of the water, taking out all of their radar. They jam their stealth with their stealth jamming technology. Sure, why not? We get a hilarious second shot of Bison being kind of surprised by the fact that there's a boat-shaped boat in the middle of the boat-shaped wake on the river. But at this point, Gaio reveals he's alive, which then also outs Ken and Ryu as being marked for death.
Yeah,
So he's very good at this.
Yeah.
Just completely burning his
Did not think
agents.
about that.
And Bison gets into his floating Senate seat from the Star Wars prequels and begins launching mines at the stealth boat using a fight stick from Street Fighter.
Which
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good nod.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
I'll take that.
That
Yeah.
was a little. Okay, maybe that was the most overt. Like
That's definitely
wink,
the
wink, nudge, nudge.
So I
That's
think
the silliest.
I think that
At
the
one point, he
aspect.
hit all 6 buttons, though. You don't do that. in
Yes.
games.
Oh, you do it.
You
do
would do
if
it
you're
if
button
you're playing.
mashing.
yeah.
Right, you would do that if you're playing Darkstalkers. Come on.
He's not playing Darkstalkers. He's lighting off mines.
I don't know why the controls for the mines are that.
You got to do Dragon Punch motion and then medium kick. And
Why
that sets
wouldn't you
off the
just
mine
hit like
closest to
one
the boat.
button that just lets the mine get like?
They said they were proximity mines. You don't need
Yeah.
to remotely set off
You don't need-
proximity
yeah.
mines. Those are remote mines.
I didn't even play GoldenEye.
So during all of this chaos, Dr. Dalsim uses the fact that nobody's paying attention to him due to all of the things that are happening topside to change out Blanca's programming from pictures of burning buildings and people kicking puppies to just weddings and the same 4-second clip of MLK about 5 times.
Yep. Just I have a dream.
Yeah, it's like a kid on a playground and then just I have a dream.
I have a dream also, like, is only uplifting in the context of a dark background anyway.
Yeah, the
so
connotation of that is kind of like
if you wanted to only show him uplifting stuff, like probably there's better candidates than the MLK speech, you know?
Yes, for sure.
Is this before or after Dawson tears out all of his hair?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
He still has his hair.
Is this when he gets the stuff spilled on him?
Yes.
Okay.
So, back up at the boat. I'm telling this a little bit out of order if anybody's wondering why.
That's
like,
fine.
You know,
it's all happening
not
parallel
exactly
too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All this stuff is concurrent. I'm trying to, not do as many scene cuts as they do, or else I'd be here for a day and a half. So during all of this commotion, Dalsim is reprogramming Blanca, who has just the most adorable smile on his face now, underneath his virtual boy that is programming him in both eyes.
That's right. It's a virtual play.
So we flash back up. M. Bison button mashes, hits all 6 buttons on the fight stick at once, and the stealth boat explodes. So everyone goes back to considering that they think that the intruders are now dead. All of the base goes back to standing down. So Dalsim gets immediately caught trying to reprogram Blanca, and the big guard guy who's with him as well starts to fight Dalsim, knocks him into the DNA mutagens, which is just bags of Kool-Aid. And he gets splashed with the DNA mutagens during that fight, but also destroy the console that is holding Blanca in. So Blanca's only 92% cooked most of the way with bad programming, but some with good programming and some still just him.
Yeah, I like that it had like a little on the screen. It was like a crude picture of like his muscles expanding, but then when he pops out, he's like, he's smaller than Zangief.
Then that was even they had a body double for him too.
Really? That was their body double?
You would think they would have gone a little beefier, but I don't know.
So the almost done Blanca is now released from the mutagen cage that he is in, and the virtual boy is removed from his face for us to see just the spirit Halloween prosthetics, his caveman brow, very much just put on with Play-Doh and spray paint.
He does look like one of the Geico cavemen.
Yes, it's truly incredible. Paint, and just an orange carrot top wig like we had mentioned earlier. Looking nothing like he is in the game, but he's takes out the guard that's fighting Dalsim to protect him, since he recognizes Dalsim as somebody who was trying to help him somehow. I think. I don't know. That seems not particularly.
It's fine.
So we then cut to Guile, Cammy, and T-Hawk emerging from the water, infiltrate the base, having not been blown up by M. Bison's wonderful moves. Once inside, Guile runs into Blanca, who's now in a destroyed lab, and finds out that Blanca isn't fully turned. Dalsim explains to him that he can still kind of be saved, and it's not Guile's place.
Guile's about to shoot him?
Yeah, he was like immediately going to.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry, I'll take you out of your misery.
Like no questions asked.
Yeah, it's not the best reaction to have, but yes, he does hold a gun to Blanca's head, who seems actually to be accepting of it. So I think the part is still Carlos.
Listen, if one of you breaks your leg, it's fine. I got it. Yeah, it's
if I just come out with a whole bunch of Play-Doh stuck to my face, you guys know what to do.
Wait, also, we did skim over while he was in the stealth boat on the way to the mission. He put in like a home movie of like
there's a VHS player in the
yeah, exactly. It's like that seems pretty dangerous to watch while you're piloting this boat. Also, why did they put a VHS player and a TV in this boat? Like, did they anticipate like long trips where they'd need some entertainment? I'm a little confused on that too.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed over that because I watched it twice and that scene still didn't stick out in my mind because it really made no difference and added absolutely nothing to any characterization. So yes, Dalsim reveals that Blanca isn't fully turned. However, the time limit for the hostages to come out has been reached, and DJ checks his bank account, which comes up with a hilarious 0, and then also for some reason just an air horn buzzer.
That's when you check your It just imagine pulling out like my banking app on my phone in public. It just goes. Like, everyone around me knows.
Someone should do that.
So Bison plans to use Blanca to execute the hostages that he has in order to show the world that he means business, so he can get his money. And he brings up the chamber that's supposed to have Blanca in it, but instead out comes Guile with an incredible flying kick from 20 miles away.
Hell yeah.
And so at this point, a full-on gunfight breaks out between all of the members of Guile's team and the goon squad that Bison has hired.
Yeah. Or full action movie territory.
In the middle of the gunfight, Honda and Zangief, who has been in the background of this movie but said pretty much nothing up to this point, get into a fight that we see, I would say, tragically little of, because
No, I wish you'd just followed them.
Yeah.
So yes, they just begin grappling in the middle of this all-out gunfight.
Which is one of the more authentic parts of the entire movie,
I know, it's
is
right.
having
It's
the
great.
wrestlers wrestle.
Yes, exactly. They start this grappling fight, and the AN arrives now that the radar dishes are down, and storm the actual base. And at this point, DJ and Ken both decide that they're going to book it. They're not really loyal to their sides. Ken wants to get away.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm out of here.
And DJ is not loyal to anybody, apparently.
He's loyal to money.
Yes. At this point, Guile and Bison agree to fight each other hand to hand after Raul Julia chews the scenery yet again, giving just incredible monologues. And so at this point, you can kind of tell this is breaking into one-on-one fights so they can get actual street fighting into the Street Fighter movie.
Yeah,
And again, a lot of this choreography is pretty good. It's fun to watch at this point. So now we start getting our first actual Street Fighter scenes of the Street Fighter movie.
No, wait, we had the cage match with Vega earlier, which is pretty
The
authentic.
one that got cut.
That got
short?
cut. They never actually fought.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I guess we had the prison brawl.
Yeah.
And
And even that was like short.
yeah. So
Interrupted.
while Guile and Bison are fighting, fairly long fight. Bison is kicked into one of his electrical consoles, or one of his computer consoles, and electrocuted and killed. While Guile is then giving a debrief to Cammy, who's trying to get the hostages out, Bison is revived by his suit, which is able to give him CPR, give him a defibrillator, and then also shoots adrenaline directly into his heart to revive him. And now he has electrical powers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if he had those beforehand, because he had the boots. Because he starts flying around and his boots light up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like,
True.
I don't know if, like, the
You
implication...
forgot to charge them ahead of time.
Right,
But
okay.
Yeah, that's all that was
Yeah.
it just booted him up.
So I think the implication is that he was killed and revived with electrical powers, but it's very unclear.
Is this also post Zangief heel turn? Or
No, Zangief's always been a heel.
Yeah, you mean face turn.
face
right?
turn, sorry.
No, not
This
yet.
is
Okay.
pre-face turn.
When he's flipped sides. Yeah.
Ryu gets quartered by Sagat and Vega, so we can now also have more Street Fighting in the Street Fighter movie. He's getting doubled up on by both of them, and Ken comes and saves him, showing that Ken does actually have a good side, kind of, a little bit. And we're continuously flashing back between various scenes going on. Nothing really super important is happening. Cammy's getting out the hostages.
Yeah.
People are street fighting all over the place. Guile is showing just his incredible biceps. And eventually Guile does win the fight by launching Bison to death so hard against his own consoles that he triggers a meltdown of the reactor. Once again, not entirely clear on what exactly happened.
Yeah,
Because
yada,
CRTs
yada,
were
yada.
powered
Yep,
by
yep.
gasoline.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Just like the radars and the trees.
Cammy's team is
Everything explodes.
Cammy's team is successful in freeing the hostages, and they begin their escape. They run into E Honda and Zangief fighting along the way, and E Honda is like, "All right, we're done," and just leaves. To which point Zangief runs into DJ, and he has a minor existential crisis when he learns that everyone but him's been getting paid. He just thinks he's working for the good guys.
Yeah.
Poor Zangief.
DJ who's smuggling out the Bison dollars, thinking it's
Yes.
real dollars.
So
Poor sweet dumb boys.
he's my favorite archetype, which is just a lovable doofus.
That
Yeah.
himbo.
Yeah. So
In Street Fighter 6, they actually make him an avid reader as part of his like.
Oh, that's so
backstory.
fun. Yeah, he can be my big dumb boy. Yeah.
Good night, Moon.
this is where Zangief has his face turn. Where after finding out that he's been working for the bad guys and he's just a big dumb boy, he helps the hostages escape by holding on to one of the blast doors in this ancient Aztec temple in Southeast Asia, and helps everybody get out. The entire team manages to get out before the reactor explodes, even though Guile is very actively directly next to it when the voiceover says
It almost seems like something was changed in post-production.
That was the
like they were going
most
to
yada 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 part of all of this.
And then everybody made it.
And then they yada 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 their way away from the explosion. Everyone makes it. We find out that DJ and Sagat have escaped with a box of money that turns out to just be bison bucks, so they're still broke.
Best possible outcome for them.
Yes. Vega, I think, dies. Because you don't see him again. So I think the implication is he's exploded.
Yeah, he's just knocked out in that locker room. And
maybe you're right.
You only ever see Sagat get out. So
he's certainly not a part of the Anchorman freeze frame.
No.
Yeah.
So then, yes, Guile does manage to escape. We do get a sweet 90s freeze frame with everybody turning and looking at an explosion of this base behind them.
Yeah, really, let's be real. They are posing for absolutely no reason. Like,
That is
in universe, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, don't forget the stinger. Hopefully you didn't miss it, Andrew. We didn't.
Would you like to go over the stinger?
I did miss it. Yeah, let's go over the stinger.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized there was one.
Yeah. Also,
Let me guess,
right?
let me guess before you tell me.
Okay.
Is it Bison's hand like underneath some rubble?
Yes,
and then,
it is
and then
exactly
punches
that.
it?
Are you
How did you know?
Yeah.
I forgot that was so expected
Yes.
that I didn't even have to say. It's like, of course.
Yeah, if
I
they didn't do it,
legitimately did not know there was a stinger, and that was just.
and
We
you
were
just
making
described
jokes
it.
about it before we realized there actually was
we were on recording
one.
during the credits, or like we were like, that'd be funny if that happened, and then
It's after if you watch the movie, it's after all the racist and anti-Semitic jokes that weird radio DJ gives.
Oh yeah,
During
over the credits.
Yeah.
Mr. Hello Vietnam had some off-color jokes going on there.
That was a strange inclusion. I don't know if what part of the audio track that's been, but thank you, Dave. That was a podcast reading of the Street Fighter movie.
Hey.
I don't feel nearly as bad or drained as I did after doing Final Fantasy. So
Don't worry, we'll find that novelization. So with that, there is something I want to ask everybody real quick before getting to the main meat. I know Andrew and Austin will kind of serve as our resident Street Fighter experts for this episode, but just to gauge interest levels, what is all of your relationships to the games? Keep it brief.
There's no other way for me to keep it because I've played a couple times. Assorted Street Fighters throughout the year. It was never my fighting game go-to.
No, mine either.
Yeah, nothing against it. I was too busy with Soul Calibur. I'm sorry.
I played the one on 3DS where you could map combos to a single button on the touchscreen, and it was the only way I could play any of those games.
It's the Porta 4, right?
Probably.
Yep.
I am very bad at any sort of combo-based input fighting game, so my relationship is nil.
Yeah, you mean like motion inputs, right?
Sure, if that's what you in the industry call it.
Well, combos mean something a little different based on what you're describing, so that's all.
Yeah, see, there you go. I've proved my lack of cred right there. Yeah, if there's a quarter circle in anything, I ain't playing it. So there you go.
Motion inputs. Yep, got it.
Like a Wiimote?
Yep, exactly.
The first arcade cabinet I ever played in my entire life was Street Fighter 2.
Hell yeah.
Aw.
That's a good,
Specifically Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting.
That's the one, right?
No, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo is the one. And they had the cabinet for Street Fighter 2 at the card shop that I used to play Magic at.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to play a lot of that, and then when I got a Genesis, I bought Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition and also the 6-button Genesis controller specifically to play Street Fighter.
That is the Street Fighter in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and then I forgot about Street Fighter and never played Alpha or 3 for a very long time. And then when 4 came out, I got back into Street Fighter, and I am the best at it. It's so good.
How about you, Andrew? Were you there since the beginning, or?
No. I think the first time I actually, even though I knew about it for a long time, the first time I ever can remember playing a Street Fighter game was about 10 years ago. My brother got a used SNES, and one of those games there was Street Fighter 2, and I played it with, a friend of this show, Matt Nudaboom. and I was like, oh man, this game actually kicks ass. So then I bought Street Fighter 4, and then a couple years later, so I guess probably about 5 years ago, I started to like really understand fighting games, which I always like played and enjoyed, but never really understood how to get good at them. And I think I came to the conclusion that I didn't like 4 and 5, but 2, 3, and 6 are all great, especially 6. Really enjoying 6.
Yeah, we're gonna. So, like, I guess I should specify Street Fighter is, of course, a vital member of the Capcom family, sitting right beside Resident Evil and Monster Hunter in terms of importance. They are developed and published in-house, starting its arcade debut in 1987, and to date, there have been 6 mainline entries, with the latest enjoying a huge victorious return as of earlier this year. There's a whopping 40 total, when including all the various remixes and collections and whatnot. We've all seen those. It has spawned several notable spin-offs as well, such as Puzzle Fighter and the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Its massive growth and popularity led to numerous forays into neighboring media. Mangas, animes are subject at hand, not to mention the merchandise, fan fiction, cosplays. Street Fighter big. In fact, it remains one of the highest grossing gaming franchises ever. 47 million units sold worldwide across its vast library, valued at $12.2 billion, making itself a flagship of the competitive scene that to this day continues to shatter records. And that's excluding the results of 6 still being tallied.
6 is going to have a tough hill to climb to meet 2, just because 2 was coin op.
Sure.
And this
There are more versions of 2 than there are entries in most series.
Yeah.
more or less than Skyrim.
That's
more.
the same game every
There
time.
are more
Yeah.
versions. There are more
Street
versions
Fighter,
of 2.
World Warrior, Championship Edition, Hyper Fighting, the Street Fighter Dash,
That's right, the dash.
Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then there are like the arcade version, the SNES version. There's the HD version.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
I pretty much was raised as a Mortal Kombat kid, so I can't give a ton of perspective on the IP's history. I've admired it from time to time from afar. 1 is sort of basic proof
One
of concept.
sucks.
Yeah, it kind of
One's
stinks.
bad.
I got my ass kicked
one was-
into on every
one-
platform, but
1 was good for its day, but it may be one of the worst aged video games of all time.
Yeah.
and Turbo is where it was at when you ask the hardcore crowd. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
If you ask the really hardcore crowd, 3
Which
where
one
it's
is
at.
is it 3 or is it Alpha that's like gorgeous, like the sprite
Street
work?
Fighter Super
Both.
Street
Both?
Fighter 3 Third Impact.
Okay,
But
I have
third
fond
strike.
feeling like
names.
I know.
Third-
I'll
third strike.
Evangelion
have to
tie-in?
keep
Although,
track of this catalog.
I believe Third Strike looks worse than Second Impact is what it
So
is.
Third Strike is the one that I shared that Evo Moment 37 clip with you guys before we started recording. That is Third Strike, and
Yeah.
that one
we
has
covered
far
that.
more. Yeah, like I think the Alpha series also looks really good, but there are just objectively way more frames of animation in Third Strike.
I remember
so
it being very fluid, like it. Yeah.
It animates really well. Yeah, definitely better than the Alpha games, but they both look great.
I played a little bit of 4. The launch of that was like a unavoidable phenomenon. Like those ink
Yeah.
effects were neat, but
Everyone loved 5, right?
yeah, I never touched 5. I know it had
I
a
know
rough
that
go out the gate. It's gotten far better with updates, but then now everybody's dropped it.
It got
fucking-
way better, but
Yeah, like-
6 came out and
Yeah.
everybody immediately dropped
which is
5.
kind of rare. Like it's like
Yeah.
they ran from that like it was Scorched Earth when 6 was.
People did not
Yeah, it
drop
was
4
abandoned.
immediately when 5 came out.
The spinoffs. I love me some Puzzle Fighter. You remember Cross Tekken? That was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No.
You don't remember that?
Box
Tekken?
art Mega Man.
Damn it. Do you think Tekken Cross Street Fighter is gonna come out or no?
No.
No,
But
it's still not officially canceled.
that's true.
But no.
But those are
And then
completely different realms.
Street Fighter EX, which was made by the Tetris Grandmaster
What?
people.
Is it really?
Wait, Randy,
Arika.
there's a
Like-
Tetris? that you didn't know
Well, I don't
about,
know.
or-
I don't know if it's a Tetris, but it's
not
a
Tetris.
Street Fighter. that I
Oh.
should
It's
have-
it's a third 3D Street Fighter like Soul Calibur
Oh.
or
Oh,
Tekken.
weird.
And it was made by the Arika, the company that makes
That's them.
the Grandmaster
With the-
Tetris Grandmaster games.
Yeah, and the
it's
99s.
also, there's a new version that's not Street Fighter that they made. I
Fighting
forget.
EX layer.
Fighting EX later.
Randy,
yeah.
what would be the best Tetris block to have as like a special fighter in Street Fighter?
well, the T block. You know, you got to do those funky moves.
Oh, you can like a windmill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, use your entire super bar and do the T-spin.
Yeah. So what about the film itself? How do you turn a 1v1 2D fighter into a mainstream motion picture?
Beautifully.
Flawlessly.
Well, ironically enough, it actually begins with the aforementioned Mortal Kombat. Despite Street Fighter's inarguable smash into arcades and the home console space with its monumental sequel, eyes were now being drawn to the new kid on the block. MK's embrace of hyper-violence, playground secrets, and lore made it extremely enticing to the youth, and the constant coverage of its controversies only increased its awareness. Without a proper follow-up to, Street Fighter 2 in production yet, this is mid-93-ish, enthusiasts were happy to move on to something else, and Capcom was taking notice. It's also easy to forget that this short-lived moment where, like, digitizing actors was mistakenly seen as the future to many.
Dude, when I was
Pixels
in
were
the
old
moment,
news. We had real people in our games.
Yeah, it seemed like the
man.
future when we were living through the 90s, you know?
Yeah, and what's more next gen than that? Like 3D poly shit was years away. So much so that MK was leading into an endless cavalcade of shitty knockoffs chasing its fortune. I forced Way of the Warrior on each one of you, so you understand exactly what I mean. Like
I do remember this, yes.
Killer Instinct also did that.
What's that? Had the
Like the motion tracking thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
In order to combat this trend, Capcom, in the midst of funding risky projects like Resident Evil 1, were experimenting with their fighting formula as well. Darkstalkers, X-Men, Cyberbots. While a handful of these were pretty rad in their own regard, they weren't particularly lighting the world on fire outside of their niche audiences, nor doing the numbers that Street Fighter once was. Things were overdue for a change.
There's so many Capcom fighting games from that era.
It's maddening.
Like the one, what's the one with like the lion guy?
Oh, Red Earth.
Red Earth, yeah.
That just
Isn't
got
that
put on a
Tekken?
compilation.
Wait, is there a lion guy in Tekken? Am I making that up?
There's a
Yeah.
jaguar guy.
Jaguar, yeah. A kitty guy, yeah.
And thus, a company division was set up in the U.S. to help get their video game trajectory back on track. More on that in part 2. And overseas, the discussions on invading another medium were happening to reignite that flame. See, unlike the Super Mario Brothers movie, there wasn't a lot of hesitation in pitching this venture. Artist and advisor from the Japan office, Katsuya Akamoto, recalled that the then president of Capcom, Kenzo Tsushimoto, was a huge fan of cinema and had always dreamed of making an adaptation of one of their properties. The question was, who would helm it? So enter Stephen De Souza or Stephen E. De Souza, depending on he's credited differently. I don't know. But an established screenwriter that was no stranger to the action genre, penning several of Hollywood's most beloved blockbusters, Commando, The Running Man, fucking Die Hard 1 and 2. He's even said to have created the buddy cop idea with 48 Hours that would serve as the predecessor to Lethal Weapon, Bad Boys, and Rush Hour.
Was this his directorial debut?
Yes. So sure, they weren't all winners with him. You had Hudson Hawk. I didn't hate it. And the first live-action Flintstones.
Also great.
But he knew damn well how to turn millions of investor money into millions more. He earned his reputation as a provider of hits and with the capital to support it. However, there was an aspiration he had yet accomplished, okay?
Oh, did I ruin it? I'm sorry. Oh, God, I jumped the gun.
When flipping through potential candidates on this project, producer Edward Grossman, who previously assisted in launching the careers of Wolfgang Peterson and Terrence Malick, passed a fresh contract down to him upon hearing those early rumblings. It was a call for someone with the right gusto to handle a Street Fighter movie. Recognizing the power of the IP name from conversations with his children, De Souza happily pursued the partnership. Pressman then requested a meeting, and on his recommendation, boom, the deal was signed. The reason for this hastily formed bond was that Capcom execs were itching to have a film out by Christmas of 1994. Let me remind you, this is as far as it's gotten. The release date even chosen before even the cast.
A good start.
Yeah.
A solid start, yeah.
But it was agreed. A grateful De Souza had his shot in his wheelhouse, too. Punches, kicks, stunts. This was his shit. Literally a day after this, he received a package of materials. Inside, there were in-game screenshots, character and stage artwork, bios on the roster, and never-before-seen documents detailing the roadmap for the franchise. He's got those secrets.
Oh, there you go. That's where Charlie came from.
Oh, then that
makes
might explain that.
Mm-hmm.
Soon the folks from the SF team were gathered together. It was mutually decided here that it would be done in the, quote, Bond-style action format and feature no tournament as to avoid confusion with their bloodier competitor. They were searching for a grander story, or grander stakes in its story, rather. A global conflict, if you will.
The lives of 24 people.
A tale of heroes and villains. The former being Guile, our wisecracking G.I. Joe type, with the latter in the form of M. Bison, a, quote, totalitarian and vaguely Eastern European general.
Totalitarian.
But, whatever, that's staying in. De Souza didn't wish to fall into the trap of churning out something generic either. Using Star Wars as an example, this was going to be massive in scope. He's like, it's going to be like Star Wars.
Yeah. What if we combined Blofeld, the Emperor from Star Wars, and Hitler into one person?
Yeah, that's about right.
So you mentioned that this was done in the style of Bond action, right?
Yeah.
So just so we all have kind of like a landmark, what Bond films were out around this time? Just so we can know, like,
This was one that was on hiatus.
Yeah, this was right before GoldenEye.
Yeah, because there was a 6-year after License to Kill. There was an internal lawsuit between MGM and like Eon Productions, so Bond was put on ice for a bit.
So this was before. Wait.
What?
Was this before the Giant Ice Castle?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
that
Die
was-
Another Day
that
was
was early
2000.
That was also the
Or 2001,
space
I
laser,
think.
right? To
Yep.
melt the pole. Yeah,
Don't
the
remind me.
best.
I still
No, the
have
best Bond
Still
movie.
trauma from that. Desperately trying to forget.
I'll never let you.
Thanks. In addition to that Star Wars quote, he indicated a refrain from shoehorning in elements of the games, saving supernatural powers for a second installment. Oops. Due to the poor reception of Super Mario Brothers. He didn't want to be like pandering, even though the Mario movie has like...
audiences that day didn't know the gold they had in their hands.
Yeah, right.
Could you imagine going to the theater and seeing that?
I in the 90s, I just imagined like all video games were video games at that point.
Yeah.
You know, like, so
Yeah.
you're just, they're all in the same exact playing
Yep.
field, the same,
But Capcom was surprisingly understanding of these caveats, and the negotiations were quick. Almost as quick as it took our guy to write his initial draft. He pulled a single, overnighter college student style.
Damn.
He knew the clock was ticking and got to it. The filming schedule was going to be aggressive, to put it bluntly. Luckily, cash wasn't an issue, though, with the budget set at 4 billion yen, or 35 mil USD, and Capcom themselves were financing the majority alone, as long as they retained final approval.
The 35 million for a budget.
That's
like
pretty
a
modest,
A
yeah.
90s movie budget, that's pretty impressive, right?
It is,
Like,
yeah. So with this, let's talk main actors. Apparently, the game's publisher had envisioned working with Jean-Claude Van Damme for years, a mission that our friends at Midway weren't able to achieve with Mortal Kombat until recently. Now. Problem was, he wasn't cheap. Hot off of Time Cop, he did accept the position of Guile when reached out to directly, but at the cost of an $8 million fee.
Who wouldn't be worth a ton of money after Time Cop?
It's a good chunk of that
was
budget.
Time Cop like that much of a phenomenon?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, this is the first time I've heard anyone talk about Time Cop in a decade. And I've never seen it.
Flash in the pan, I guess.
I don't even. I may have seen it. I feel like they reran that on like the Sci-Fi Channel or something when I was a kid.
So you saw the best version then.
Yeah.
Chopped up, commercials all over it.
Yeah, and trim out all the the rawer stuff. But this also meant the rest of the money had to go towards like lesser famous faces.
When 20% of your budget is one person.
Yeah. Although this wasn't all unfortunate, as it did result in the casting of the Addams Family's Raul Julia as M. Bison.
Wait, he was like a bargain? Are you serious, Raul Julia?
I know, yeah. And it's who's retroactively is often cited as stealing the show in what is upsettingly his last performance. Yeah, and he was more of a theater, like stage actor, but he was still pretty significant in that. But he didn't in
it shows.
the film space, but
His theater background shows.
yeah, but he didn't cost as much as
Yeah, he crushes it.
Uh-huh.
He's
Yes.
the best part of this movie by a mile.
Absolutely.
So-
His voice projects when he starts talking about himself as a god, you know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So Van Damme may have had a background in martial arts and hand-to-hand choreography, but Julia was an expert in Broadway theater, giving the role a much-desired dose of charisma.
Also, apparently behind the scenes, just the sweetest dude too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on from them, you had Damien Chapa as Ken. Taking the gig following epic war drama Blood In, Blood Out, for which he headlined.
Which is very good, and I went through
Really? I've
his
not
IMDb.
seen-
Yeah, it's really good. It's long. Basically about prison life. Yeah, it is. I went through his IMDb page, and that appears to be the only positively rated movie in his entire career. But the dude is still acting.
Shame.
It seems like so.
Okay.
You know, if he's enjoying it, good on him. Hopefully he's making a good living at it. But yeah, Blood In, Blood Out is good. It goes by another title. I forget what the other one is, but...
He initially turned down the opportunity in favor of more dramatic offerings until being convinced by his son. That's another, yeah. Of course, what brought him totally on board was the inclusion of Raul Julia. And the less said about his personal life, the better during the 2000s. Yikes.
Oh boy.
yeah,
I don't. Do I not want to know?
No, you probably don't.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, that's
we'll
fine.
leave it there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Google at your own risk, folks.
Australian singer Kylie, how do you
Minogue.
Minogue as Cammy. As of 2023, she has sold 80 million records under her belt. However, her dive into film was fairly uncharted territory at this point. Supposedly, DeSalvo wanted her when she was selected by Who magazine in their edition of, quote, the world's 30 most beautiful people. Yeah.
Sure.
Hong Kong native Byron Mann was to be Ryu. And Street Fighter's prime mascot. Again, he was somewhat new to the scene, though would eventually star in Catwoman, The Man with the Iron Fist, and even Adam McKay's The Big Short, as both Andrew and Austin noted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He doesn't.
missed
He
that.
doesn't.
He's in that.
He doesn't star in The Big Short, but he steals one very prominent and important scene. Like he just they introduce him as the solid gold asshole. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of wild against the first two.
I'll tell you how much I'm worth, and you tell me how much you're worth.
Yeah,
See
that
who's
guy.
worth more. Yep.
Yeah.
British actor and writer Simon Callow, from the heels of the critically acclaimed Four Weddings and a Funeral, he's listed as AN official.
Oh, I think he's the emissary that comes to cancel the war.
The posh British guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
With the tiny glasses.
Other notable releases on his IMDb include Amadeus, A Room with a View, James the Giant Peach, Shakespeare in Love, and he was
Amadeus.
the antagonist in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
Yes, that's where I know. him from.
Yeah, which is not held up.
Wait, who was he in Amadeus? I don't know why I'm asking this now. He wasn't Salieri, was he?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me. Then there was Roshan Seth as Dalzaim, and previous works post his run as a journalist in India were Gandhi, Temple of Doom, Passage to India.
Yeah, he's
typecast.
prolific.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Speaking of, crown favorite Zangief is played by, his name is Andrew Bryanarski. His tall, muscular stature even granted him the part of Leatherface in the sucky Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, along with Batman Returns, that was before, Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor,
Oh no.
James Gunn's Scooby-Doo, Rollerball, and
Hell yeah.
TV programs Firefly and Burn
Wait,
Notice.
he was in Rollerball?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
a lot
buff
of goons.
Russian guys.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, let me guess, was he on the Russian team?
Yeah. He also had a history with DeSalvo from the set of Hudson Hawk. I think he's another henchman in that. But
Also, let me say that casting him as Leatherface, real miscasting. You covered up his beautiful expressive eyes.
It's true.
Just absolutely mugging through the
yeah.
entire movie.
It's almost like he's wearing contacts.
It's incredible.
Balrog was Grant L. Bush, rising through the ranks with CBS sitcom Good Times and Roots, but then graduated television to appear in the director's own Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, 007's License to Kill, that's the gory one, check it out, and a personal guilty pleasure of mine, Demolition Man.
Hell yeah.
Guilty.
I shouldn't say
wait.
guilty. It's amazing.
Come on.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, it's you're right. That's inappropriate for that movie. It's just watch it. I can't recommend it more. It will entertain a room.
If you enjoy your 90s kitsch, like for sure.
You'll want Taco Bell, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is, or Pizza Hut, depending on what country you live in. Now he may not be as prominent as he once was, but he found a place throughout the 90s with contributions to stuff like Exorcist 3 and Forrest Gump. Exorcist 3, not so bad. Going further, Robert Mamone is Blanca, another Australian best known today as AK in the Matrix sequels and Stone Cold Steve Austin's foil in The Condemned.
Sorry, who is he in the Matrix sequels?
AK.
AK.
I did the same thing where I think it's one of the other operators that.
Yeah, I mean, like there are a lot of like, hey, we mentioned them like twice in these games, but like, yeah, I can't think of who that is.
I had to Google, I had to look up a picture. I don't think it's not. But
I did once watch The Condemned.
Did you? That came out when I was working at the theater.
Yeah, I was like high on Percocets, I think. I don't remember it being very good regardless.
I assume this was Wisdom Teeth, or were you just having a fun time?
No, this was around the Wisdom Teeth time when you brought me that DVD of Zodiac, and I was so grateful I cried. Yeah, that same time.
It's a fucking great movie. Yeah. It's a little long and hard to probably stay awake for.
I really enjoyed the half of it I was able to stay awake for.
You did better than me.
One day we'll watch the other half.
I watched the documentary on the Sackler family while high on opiates.
Oh, boy.
When I got my wisdom teeth taken out, when I was high on Percocets, I tried to play Rock Band Blitz.
That's dope.
Around the same time.
Because you were blitzed?
Not well, because I was blitzed, yeah. While a friend of mine played through the first Dark Souls next to me. Mikhail A. Nunux Jr., who was Spider in Return of the Living Dead. Fuck yeah.
Oh,
that's
nice.
the punk, yeah. Is DJ. I didn't even recognize. So prior to Street Fighter, his claim to fame was likely Tour of Duty, a military drama, and again, CBS serial based in the Vietnam War. After, there's a slew of smart choices: Leprechaun 4, Nutty Professor 2, Scooby-Doo Again, The Adventures of Pluto Nash.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Black Dynamite. So
You
that's
forgot
good.
Joanna Man.
And he 2 new De Salsa with a Jumpin' Jack Flash in 86. Sorry, by the way, I know there's a ton of these fucking fighting games. I'll increase the pace a bit. But Native American performer Greg Rainwater was T-Hawk.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. Japanese.
I just have this. I'm legitimately impressed that they bothered to do that in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'd like to actually cast
That's true.
Even the
Native American.
Even the dialogue that he speaks is not like anchored in that heritage, though. He is just military dude.
Yeah. So Japanese actor Kenya Sawada as Captain Sawada, chosen in reference to his promotional contract with Capcom. Also, he was contracted whole cloth for the project and was indeed, as you pointed out, Kay, dubbed for the U.S. market, as English speaking was not his strong suit. But you also mentioned that was who they initially wanted.
Yes, that was
as,
who Capcom really was pushing for to be Ryu. But again, he did not speak English, as you can tell. Yes. I think I remember there was a quote from Byron Mann talking about how when they were on set at the same time, like he and Sawada, he was something like he was just like staring daggers at him, essentially.
Oh, he wasn't over it, huh?
No.
He robbed him of
Probably not a bad idea just from the point of view of the movie itself, but yeah.
The ADR looks like that bit in like Pee-wee's Big Adventure where it's like so not the voice that would be coming out of that man.
Yes.
It's like when they overdubbed Arnold Schwarzenegger in that one movie. Jay
Tavier's Vega, I'm going to assume he was an admirer of games, as down the road he provided voices for Red Dead Redemption and Metal Gear Solid 5. Plus smaller roles in Charlie Kaufman's adaptation and Bone Tomahawk, which rules, and not enough people have seen.
Oh, he was in Bone Tomahawk?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Speaking of Bone Tomahawk, that guy is also shredded.
Bone Tomahawk, rip-roaring good time.
Yeah, highly
that's how
recommend.
I would describe it.
Double feature it. Street Fighter right into Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah.
So then there was an NFL football player for the LA Rams. That's who E. Honda Came
Makes
like where he
sense.
came from.
He's got the defensive lineman physique.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Yep.
He had quieter appearances. Succeeded this in a Batman and Robin, Basketball, Charlie's Angels, The Fast and Furious, Scorpion King, etc., etc.
Was he in Fast and Furious?
Yeah, I don't have the name like the character.
Was he like just in the original?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
just that one.
Okay,
That's yeah.
alright.
So he probably wasn't anyone too important.
Yeah, just
but,
in the crowd of street
Yeah.
racers, maybe.
yeah. But I'm
Well,
also reading.
Was he in Fast and Furious or The Fast and
This
the
is important,
Furious?
Randy. I hope you have this written down.
I
'Cause
have.
Fast and Furious is 4.
I'm not
The
even
Fast
gonna-
and the Furious is 1.
You know, I'm not. I'm not-
Whatever happened to journalistic integrity?
I don't know, man. I think
about
Randy
it.
just decided
I
to hell with it.
I think it's the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, but he's also in 2008 Speed Racer.
Hell
Very
yeah.
nice, the greatest live action anime. A second Native American, West Study was he's Sagat. This a couple years after Dances with Wolves and Last of the Mohicans. Still with us as there was then.
Sagat is supposed to be Thai, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like in the lore, and yeah, it's like he's supposed to be Thai.
Thailand.
Like, so-
That land.
That actor does look a lot like Sagat, though. So,
Yeah, he does.
yeah,
Yeah.
it works. Yep.
yeah.
And what is it? There was in the future. Let's see. There was roles for him in Heat, Mystery Men, and Avatar.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he won an award for Penny Dreadful. I don't know. But saving the funniest for last. Nobody addressed this so far. So fucking Ming Ya Wen as Chun Li. If that sounds familiar, it might be because in a wild coincidence to us specifically, she was the later Dr. Akai Ross in the clusterfuck that we assigned ourselves
oh my
to
God.
many episodes back. Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
I think I've repressed so much about
There's
that.
no
The
escape.
spirit within, like, our watching it and recording these episodes, that even as I was like reading about this movie and the production of it and saw that name and recognized that name
Yeah,
somewhere,
it's just like-
my brain refused to make that connection.
It's all connected, I tell
He's
you.
trying to protect you.
All
I
my
think so.
memories.
Also, she was Mulan, but
Yeah.
I
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. All my memories of Spirits Within are from when we watched the outtakes.
with the stop
Oh,
sign.
God.
Like,
The stop sign through the guy's head. That's all I remember.
it's all you need.
Because we were like, how do they have outtakes in a CGI movie? And they like specifically animated outtakes.
Yeah, they weren't even
they're
finished
being cute.
either. It
It
wasn't,
Yeah.
it
they
wasn't
were
like
trying,
the
it
Toy
was like
Story.
the Pixar thing, but yeah, like without it being cute or, you know.
So that's the fucking squad. It was reported that Capcom are responsible in the move to host as much as the roster as possible. Their fault that section was so lengthy. And they wanted more. De Salza wasn't thrilled with this. He knew this would make dividing screen time between everyone difficult. Editing would be a nightmare. So he proposed the question to the higher-ups, quote, how many of the 7 dwarves can you name? No one could name all 7. There's a reason there's 7 dwarves. There's a reason there's 7 wonders of the world. There's a reason it's the Magnificent 7, a remake itself of the 7 Samurai. 7 is the number of characters an audience can keep in its head at any time. Now, even if you could name all 7 dwarves, he wasn't wrong. Avengers was like decades away. Thus, a compromise was reached on the two sides, and 7 was landed on as the number of primary characters essential to the narrative. Can any of you guys name all 7 dwarves?
Happy, Sleepy, Grumpy, Doc,
Sneezy.
Sneezy,
So there's
Mopey,
a doctor one?
and
Horny.
I'm missing one. Nope.
Pukey.
I don't think we watched the same movie. Dopey.
Angry
Yeah.
and dopey.
Yeah.
There's not a mopey.
What was the
whatever.
at the Duff theme park? It was Surly and like I forget the
That's me.
Yeah. Barfy.
Now, do you get into Street Fighter started with 8 characters.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2. But
Street
yeah.
Fighter 2. Street Fighter started with 2 characters. Ken and Ryu.
Wait, that was it in the first?
In the first one, it was
Well,
just Ken.
playable. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryu,
Huh.
and then Ken, which was just Ryu but red instead
Yeah.
of white.
Yeah.
Which is why they have the outfits they do.
Was his hair blonde in the first one, or was it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
so they
yeah,
probably swapped that.
Ryu had like reddish hair in Street Fighter 1, and then Ken was always a blonde with the red gi. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 started with 8 characters, and there were 4 bosses.
Yeah.
So when Street Fighter
They made the bosses
2,
characters.
yeah,
Yep.
the second version of Street Fighter 2 had the 4 bosses as characters, and then they added Cammy, DJ,
The new challengers.
The new challengers, yeah. And so there are 16 in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Dude, I don't know where Street Fighter 2 ended, but I could tell you, like T-Hawk was added in there at some point too, right? And he wasn't a boss character, so he must have been a new challenger.
Well, so
maybe.
I think the new challengers were DJ, Cammy, T-Hawk, and Fei Long, and Fei Long is the only Street Fighter 2 character that is not in this movie.
Well, no, what about Akuma?
Oh, right, Akuma.
Yeah.
On the cutting room floor.
Well, I was wondering if there was a legal reason as to why Fei Long is not in the movie.
Not that I saw.
What? Why legal reasons? Sorry.
There is a rumor, which I'm pretty sure is false.
It's in a Miss Pac-Man situation.
Fei Long, Google him if you're listening, is Bruce Lee.
Right. I forgot about that. Yes.
He looks and sounds almost exactly like Bruce Lee. But here's the thing, like, fighting games in general as a genre have a long history of making a character that is basically Bruce Lee, including martial law in Tekken is the Bruce Lee character. You know, like Maxi in Soul Calibur is almost Bruce Lee.
That would have been hard to represent on screen without getting into legal.
There was a while where Fei Long wasn't. Every time a Street Fighter game comes out and Fei Long isn't in it, this rumor always comes up, which I'm pretty sure is not true, that Capcom was sued by the Bruce Lee estate for making Fei Long too much like Bruce Lee.
Yeah, to my knowledge, that I agree that what I've heard is that is false and that there is no legal pressure whatsoever to stop.
That was the thing with Alpha, right? Because he's not in Alpha, and then it happened again.
He's not in a lot of Street Fighter games. Yeah, like
he's in 4. It happened again for a while, and then he's in 4. And then when 5 came out and they didn't add Fei Long, they're like, oh, the Bruce Lee estate suit, and like it came back up.
Okay.
And then I think people, like, with the dawn of the internet and the spread of information, they're like, that's not fucking true. And then when 6 came out and Fei Long's in it, people are just like,
they finally put it back in.
He's not in there.
Well, no, he's not in 6, but the rumor didn't come back up because people realized that it's fake, and they're just like, he's Bruce Lee, therefore he's one of the least interesting Street Fighter characters.
I was going to say, like, even his character model Dave just brought up.
That's way more like cutesy back in the 90s than it would be now.
Yeah, it's like I heard if you input this certain button sequence in Smash 64, you unlock Charizard.
Or Luigi. I definitely didn't try everything.
Luigi's in the 64 one. You know,
Wait.
I know there was. There's been so many Smash.
Sonic. Sorry, God.
Sonic. Oh yeah,
it was Sonic.
That was like the Melee one. It was like shoot every name in the credits.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I definitely didn't try to do that for hours.
Did the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, if there's some sort of actual
Playground Secrets
problem with using Fei Long, then nobody should have gotten away with Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat.
Exactly.
Yeah, he even does the
Liu Kang is that archetype as well. That's what I'm saying. Like every major fighting game has a Bruce Lee in it, even if he's not named Bruce Lee.
Like you said, martial law in Tekken.
Yeah.
There's a Bruce. Of course, there's a Bruce Lee in every fighting game. Bruce Lee is one of the most famous martial artists of all time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now we're on to shoot this masterpiece. The physical training, and this will be a good segue, was to be from Hollywood PT and karate champion Benny Arudez. Honestly, a legend. The dude even saw killer on-screen highlights in Jackie Chan's Meals on Wheels, Roadhouse, and goddamn Grosse Point Blank. He's the other hitman, Felix La Poubelle, which is awesome. In similar fashion, the coordination of stunts were under Charlie Pacerni. This only guaranteed if he's given ample time to prepare the actors, especially those with harnesses and wires.
Yes, so he's who we have to thank for the wonderful wire work.
Yes.
Truly flawless, seamless.
Unbeknownst to him, these plans shifted, as we'll learn once it was revealed that M. Bison's real Julia was battling, like, suffering from cancer.
Wait, there's wires in this movie?
Sorry, just electromagnetism.
Okay, I thought he could actually fly. That's crazy.
He's that good of an actor.
Yeah.
Sold it.
Instead of filming his less intense scenes first, while the others could do their workout routines, an environment was created where the cast members were trained a mere hours before arriving to set. Complicating matters to an unsafe degree to keep production flowing at a decent speed. As for locations, it was mostly shot in the Gold Coast region of Queensland, Australia, using sites in Brisbane. This in the span of months. They also traveled to Bangkok 3 weeks earlier for the larger exterior scenes, as it became a backdrop for the fictitious Shadaloo city. Let's see. We'll dissect each of these, starting with Thailand. There were a couple altercations to the script here and there. Originally, the attack on Bison's facility was by helicopter, but political instability in the neighboring country of Myanmar caused a last-minute swap to boats.
Yeah, they were worried. There was like a threat of a military coup, right? Like it was it was serious business.
It was
Bearing with
bubbling
that,
around.
Yeah.
Find somewhere else to shoot. I don't know. Maybe it was cheaper, I guess. But
Gee, I wonder why.
otherwise, the opening shots went relatively smoothly. There were minor hiccups. They grew as things progressed, trust me. Van Damme tended to indulge in his coke habit, along with other...
Do we need to say allegedly?
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know if that's a thing.
Well...
Or statute of limitation.
Yeah. Along with other rising distractions, you had pending legal troubles from a tumultuous divorce, and that sign-on fee was already a thorn in the side of his compatriots. Regardless, Ryu's Byron Mann described the experience as, quote, relaxed, even a little lighthearted. And just, that's pleasant to hear. Even from their meet and greet dinner, the performers all seemed to click with one another. A refreshing change of pace compared to nearly every topic we've tackled, except for GoldenEye. The single looming dark cloud was Raul Julia's concerning health status. Despite recently undergoing surgery on his stomach, he was told that the illness would take his life within the year. With this heavy news that was discovered by the rest of the party, it rightfully brought a significant portion of the energy down.
They actually did know during filming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it
wasn't until they all got there.
Yeah, it depends on okay. Some of the sources what he hit.
You're right.
Hit it from the
There's
cast.
some contradictory stuff.
It makes way more sense.
Yeah.
Because I know at one point they were talking about how they were like, I think it might have been one of the customers was talking about essentially like how Raul Julia was like fresh out of the hospital and was kind of emaciated.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need time to help
bulk him
feed
up,
him
man.
and yeah. So yeah.
Get him looking. It's De Souza himself. He refused to do close-ups for Julia's monologues as he felt guilty that the public would see him in such weak shape. Which is that's gracious of him. Like, he wanted his people to look cool in this. Like he cared about that. And Julia,
I think he nailed that.
yeah,
honestly.
yeah. And Julia didn't need to take the job. The director thought the least he could do was like give him a poised finale to his career. So while time was given to achieve that goal, and super like you were saying, like get some muscle mass in there. Other sequences were pushed forward, flipping their schedule from drama then action and then from action to then drama. This is why things got so mixed around with the training I mentioned. It might not have been the best move, but maybe it was the right one. The decision to prioritize his recovery and invite his family to join by his side absolutely boosted his spirits. He gradually took on weight, all while De Souza attempted to hide any unsightly footage through wide shots and makeup. Everybody on set had the utmost respect for him and the rehauling that needed to happen surrounding the situation. They would go from designing the fight choreography to training to immediately getting in front of the camera. Improvising certain techniques, coordinator Charlie Percerni is quoted as saving the production from utter chaos. And as much as of a badass Benny Arudez as his training was, even he had his limits, such as when it came to handling weapons. I want to read this excerpt from Byron Mann, Ryu's actor. A month in, we're filming in the morning, and I hear through the grapevine that my sword kata scene is coming up after lunch. I was literally an hour away from filming this thing. I was shitting bricks. I grabbed a tie extra. I'd heard he knew sword fighting. He taught me to kata in about an hour.
Quick study.
Yeah.
Which is funny considering that he does that just to show that he's not going to use it.
You're right.
He is like twirling it in such a way. And I don't think that wasn't like a prop. I don't think.
No. Yeah. What's
given a blunt one?
I would have.
Realism, Dave. They were concerned about realism.
Yeah, the edge changes the aerodynamics.
Yeah.
What's interesting is the amateurish nature of the combat inadvertently led to the movie's campy physical comedy. It wasn't written to be a hardcore Oscar drama anyway. The dialogue was scenery chewing, the outfits ridiculous. So overall, they were doing all right. No injuries yet. M. Bison was fearlessly continuing to impress the crew with his stunts. He was willing to do whatever, and it was promising. Every day, I'd ask if Julia had taken his meds, said DeSalza, and if Van Damme was off his. JCVD would typically oversleep or claim sickness, things of that nature.
Got
Now,
the sniffles.
yeah. Now, in 2012, he did admit to his addiction during an interview with The Guardian, so we don't have to say allegedly. This and a confession to having an affair with his co-star Cammy, Kylie Minogue. So this was manageable. Same with his delivery. Our screenwriter, who was used to working with Schwarzenegger, would ask to sit with him to rehearse lines, as English was not his native tongue. He's from Belgium. Phrasing could be
couldn't tell.
Yeah. Phrasing could be switched about and what have you, except he declined, for this invitation because he stated that he had already run through them with his wife. Like, I think he just probably didn't want to do it. But
Wait, the wife he was divorcing?
well, the wife he was, I guess, cheating on.
Oh, he hadn't divorced at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
DeSalza kind of just laughs it off when reciting their exchanges today. According to him, he ribs on an instance where Van Damme shouted "cut" out loud because he thought he pronounced ladder as latter. The filmmaker then lectured him about how much of a pain it would be to reset everything: the bullet holes, the replacing of blood packs, the costume cleanup. Guile ordered a second take, though, and while the staff obliged, he listened back to the audio and there was no error. What did DeSalza do? He made him shoot it again just to have it and probably to fuck with him. Damme saw through the ruse, however, and intentionally exclaimed ladder on purpose to ruin it. They have fun. Burn that money.
Jesus.
Which scene is that?
Some schoolyard shit.
I don't even know if that made it into the final, because I was looking for it when we were watching, and I don't know. Now, as far as technical aspects go, both the indoor and outdoor sound stages, though beautiful, were plagued with annoyances. Inside, gaps in the walls and ceilings would let in unwanted light. Outside, they had to deal with the elements. There was a crewman whose skin got badly irritated from contact with the water in the Chao Phraya River. One producer, unaccustomed to driving on the opposite side of the road, accidentally turned into oncoming traffic and struck a bus. He's alive, thankfully.
How's the bus?
Yeah. Not that he came back to the project. Same goes for another producer who suddenly had a heart attack. But, those weren't related to the film, per se. It was just a cursed and ill-conceived place to make a movie. An authentic location, I suppose, to further the immersion. The team was forced to adapt to the nation's scorching temperatures, humidity, and on top of those, its culinary traditions. Byron Mann observed the drastic loss of weight for all of the performers and that their pounds could fluctuate visibly scene to scene. All right, so this next bit is hilarious.
Sorry, they filmed in Queensland, Australia, right?
No, this is in the Thailand. They filmed in both.
Okay.
I think the inset, like the stuff was in Australia. The big outdoor stuff was in Thailand.
Okay.
I think probably like the chase with the truck and that whole like shooting thing at the market.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That was all Thailand. I got a fair share of my info for these sections from an in-depth Polygon article written by this is Chris Plant in 2014. I'll give full thank yous on my sources in the closer, don't worry. But I'm just going to cite this paragraph verbatim because it's so stupid that I couldn't stop chuckling. Quote, furthermore, the men in the cast, young, physically fit, and flush with American cash in Thailand, had taken an interest in the local massage parlors. Hunger, rapid weight loss, heat exhaustion, none were a match for the inflamed libidos of these 20-something action stars, end quote. This was supported by Chapa, quote, I came from poverty, and here I was making more money than I ever made in my whole life. Plus, the places were so cheap you could get a massage for $10. We became massage addicts, getting a massage every hour. We were working hard and our bodies were pushed to the extreme.
Well, yeah, sometimes you don't want it. Like sometimes your drafts get like really tense, and I understand,
For a fellow actor, Mann agreed. Quote, let's put it this way: there were a lot of hormonal guys on this film running amok in Thailand and Australia. So you do the math. We were like cavemen. We were like Vikings. We went there and conquered.
Yeah, I couldn't tell that there were a bunch of hormonal guys given how they
Jesus.
treated Chun-Li through the entire movie.
Stay
So-
classy.
I don't think they're talking about getting someone rubbing their muscles.
Well,
Well, rubbing certain muscles.
They're not the traps.
No.
Sure, keep going.
no, just the toesies.
Oh.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Way to make this gross.
Carrying on from the debauchery, there were also power issues. At one point, the gear being used was demanding so much energy that it blew out a nearby station, delaying the shooting schedule by 15 days. But fuck it, Bangkok was over with. It was time to pack up and ship on over to Australia.
You fucked up your shit. Let's go.
Yeah. Way less deadly there. The weather and wildlife had to be more welcoming.
In Australia?
Yeah.
No, I'm shaking my head no for those listeners.
So I should note a production of this magnitude going over costs and falling slightly behind isn't really uncommon in the action blockbuster space. However, Capcom was determined to land that holiday window for theaters, meaning De Souza had catching up to do. Even toy manufacturer Hasbro was putting on the pressure as per their deal to re-release licensed figures based off the film for Black Friday. The screenwriter/director commented on this, saying that they were aiming to reboot the currently waning G.I. Joe line as a thinly disguised Street Fighter tie-in, which sort of explains the use of firearms and tanks and boats and
Right.
in the script, yeah.
And the very toy-centric boat stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you can picture like a kid.
Easily.
Yeah. And they weren't messing around though. They were heavily invested in this product, giving memos that requested said tank, again take it from G.I. Joe's vehicle blueprints they had. They hammered down on the movie's content, requesting it stay family friendly enough to still sell to children. Back to Aussie country. Newcomers were set to replace the producers that had left during the filming in Thailand, and when they noticed the crunch that was required to right the ship, they went to the second unit led by Pacerni to take the reins on scenes that needed shooting with the supporting cast. Studio B racing parallel to De Souza's Studio A for maximum efficiency. They even brought in William Fraker, the Academy Award-nominated cinematographer of Rosemary's Baby and Bullet, as support.
What?
What? And things were faring far better here in Australia than in Bangkok. No poisonous rivers or car crashes anyway. However, there are contradictory statements when it came to the management. For example, B Team followed the director's instructions to not incorporate the, quote, special moves the fighters in the game had. But then De Souza changed his mind, or perhaps he got worried Capcom and Hasbro would be upset at the lack of personality in like their characters' signature styles that players were expecting when it came to fighting. Maybe he wanted more uniformly across the two groups' footage. I can't pin it, but that, and there was even confusion on who was responsible for what sequences. It was weird. Depending on which person you questioned, both Pacerni and De Souza shot the final showdown between M. Bison and Guile. Like, which, yeah.
They just
Wait,
have like
what?
a different camera angle, or
I don't know. Pacerni claimed he tried to tell Pressman, the producer, that he wasn't equipped to direct the battle. Pressman said, "You have to, we're behind." So he did. Quote, "I was forced to do it." De Souza, not pleased with that revelation, took the credit. Or so if you ask Pacerni on the discrepancy, quote, "I didn't want his credit. I want to be the first unit. I just did my job." Later adding that De Souza was insecure and didn't know what he was doing. The frustration almost caused Pacerni to threaten leaving a week before wrap-up. Mann recalled a heated argument, one night that led to Fraker at the camera to fill the spot. Technically, this is just hearsay. It could very well be the case. It might not. I had to include it regardless. I don't know. Bizarrely enough, the production concluded prematurely with 20 pages of script left to complete. A month after the actors flew back to the States, phone calls came in exclaiming that they now suddenly had to trek this is to Vancouver, Canada to actually finish this shit. De Souza was granted 3 more days to get it done. Costumes were put back on, sets were rebuilt, and upon Capcom discovering that the movie had none of the fun powers in the video game, the ending fight was then retrofitted to the tone of what felt more in tune with their franchise. And they did it. As much as an ordeal it was off to the editing bay. DeSalzo overjoyed with the freedom he had to put the pieces together without the pesky corporate interference. Because I guess he also was serving as like editor in this as well. But except there was now one major roadblock: the Motion Picture Association of America, or the MPAA for short. On all sides, the project was reaching for no higher than a PG-13, not just to match the level of its gaming counterpart, but also to appease parent advocacy organizations that become sensitive to the idea of toy tie-ins taken from edgier intellectual properties.
Wait, hold on. They're only just now taking issue with that kind of thing?
Well, that's not saying, yeah, this wasn't the 80s anymore. The bunch of wet blankets were putting a stop to stuff based, like on children. Like, there was like a children's RoboCop cartoon. And
they're just kicking each other.
I know.
Like, of all the
no
things.
more Terminator and Alien action figures.
I'm
like,
not still like, so enraged by Mortal Kombat. Like, Street Fighter?
Well, that's the other thing. I think the magnifying glass was really on them because this is the same year as the Senate hearings. For
as
old
they're
people
shooting, not when it releases. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Old people out of touch, lumping on all video games.
Yep.
They're all the same thing.
Yeah. DeSalzo, known for his history on writing violent media, as well as his renegade attitude from his contributions to network television, he recalled shows airing at 7 p.m., quote unquote, wussy pussy time.
Phenomenal.
There's a lot of colorful language in quotes getting turned around, but either way, like certain ratings of board disagree with them. So this is November of '94, a month before premiere. They reviewed his cut. They gave him an R.
Really? And
he chalked it up
for all. Okay, no, sorry, I interrupted you as you were about to
No,
explain. Go ahead.
Well, he chalked it up to a recent mass shooting as the culprit, but whatever this reason that wouldn't fly. He, quote, I shot a PG-13 and I had to make it softer. With Capcom ordering a new edit, he removed a large portion of the blood that was listed as problematic. He trimmed close-ups of busted lips and noses. Fuck, I want to see this version.
Yeah, what? That was enough to tip them things over into an R?
I don't know. Yeah, so it's going to get even more, like, eyebrow-raising in a moment, but this was an expensive resolution that they quickly arranged out in Vancouver. Like it had to be neutered. Apparently, when Vega falls on his own claw, that was just snipped out entirely.
Oh, that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's why he doesn't show up at the end.
Yeah.
In the original edit, he
good.
Kills or he dies on his claw.
Right. Yeah.
Because he does get flipped at the very that's the last time you see him.
You can't even tell like what's.
Yeah, he gets kicked so hard.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he flips and lands on his chest. So maybe that was the intention.
Yeah, and then that explains that. They but they didn't have the resources to go in and mask it with special effects, like none of the iconic fireball projectiles. There was a nice glow around the Hadouken to hide the rawness of it, whatever. I mean, like not like it wasn't really the Hadouken, but it was.
I'm sorry. What
kind of that?
Are you saying they intended to have these moves in there and then just couldn't get the special effects done?
No, they went back and forth on it. So like, yeah, it's weird. There was this was pre-digital, so like computers could only fix so much. But I don't know what they wanted it to look like. Maybe they were like, this looks stupid, and then they just
could.
Well, there's the one part where he does. This is an audio medium, but he does the
exactly
the Hadouken hand thing. Which if you play Street Fighter, now it's a fireball, but in Street Fighter 2, the Hadouken has the two hands in it. In the fireball.
Oh, yeah.
So he does the motion and hits somebody with it. He just doesn't, there's no fireball. So
now I'm going to pause here for a sec because I don't believe this part. I don't. And I know that, like, I know how this process operates. We all do. But DeSalzo says the second cut returned with a G. Which, no way.
No.
That's, like, what was it, 20 minutes long?
No.
A fucking G? Like Pixar can't even get those. Like, Gs are for nature documentaries.
Yeah, that's like thematic stuff is going to get you a piece.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But whatever, this is what
There's
he's
a skull
claiming.
chandelier.
yeah, that's already, like, too much. They'll just be like, oh, for image. So, I don't know. But in response to that, he inserted a cuss word to bring it back up to a PG-13, or so he states. Specifically, an 80-yard line when Guile is crawling through the air ducts grumbling, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, I remember that line. And I remember thinking it felt a little out of place, too. Yeah.
I mean, apart from some other language throughout, like, there is a, like, I think there's some hells and damns and a son of a bitch.
Bison does snap two necks right off the bat.
He does. Yeah. That's very true.
It's not bloody, but
I don't know if he meant PG and said misspoke and said G there, but either way, this seems through and through a PG-13. But I don't know. I know I keep saying I don't know, but it's just
Yeah, it's all people
I'm shaking my head at this whole-
recollecting like their cocaine fueled experience.
It's improbable,
Yeah.
but not impossible because the MPAA is fucking
they're bananas.
dog shit.
Yeah. But this is the
there are
90s.
No,
like
there are no set rules for the MPAA. It's like it's all vibes and it's all like Christian moms. Christian mom
there's
vibes.
nothing particularly saucy or overly violent. Like I don't recall.
No.
Like
If you want to talk about stuff that's saucy, we could talk about almost every scene with Chun-Li and a man in it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean it's mostly bloodless outside of the fake squib pack. I
Yeah.
think there's a couple bullet holes getting riddled into people, but
Yeah, I mean, I think E Honda having a bloodied face at the end is probably his.
which is on that character. Yeah, which is
and
part
I
of
guess
that
he had the
character
bloody
design.
back.
Yeah.
After the
Oh,
whip,
yeah. When he's getting
yeah.
whipped. That's yeah. So it got the pass, a PG-13 for quote nonstop martial arts in action, which is that is the second funniest descriptor that they have issued out. It's
a good band name.
like after Twister's intense depiction of very bad weather, which I showed you guys.
That is more accurate.
You know what? Maybe the action is nonstop, but it takes like an hour for it to be a start. You
Yeah,
know?
that's why
Like,
adding that adjective on, like, that doesn't, it stops.
It didn't
It's
stop. It just took a while to start.
Non-stop martial arts in action is a great album name.
Ooh.
So everybody was satisfied. A total runtime of 102 minutes. They'd even make their December 23rd release date. Merry Christmas. Japan had to wait until May 6th of 95 to get theirs. I also think in the U.S. that it shared the same weekend as Dumb and Dumber and the Santa Claus.
On the overlap there with the viewership.
The Tim Allen grunt. I don't. The composer and front person of industrial noise band SPK, Graham Revell, wrote the score. This and The Crow that same year. Both after he did Tank Girl, Power Rangers, From Dusk Till Dawn, Spawn. Lots of winners. But no existing songs from the actual series. A strange and deliberate move. It was recorded by the London Symphony Orchestra, and there were, as I specified before, the licensed tracks heavily present. Priority Records distributed it. It cites itself as being the first soundtrack of a AAA film production to consist exclusively of hip hop music.
That seems dubious.
Yeah, I agree. Artists featured Ice Cube, Nas, LL Cool J, MC Hammer, Chuck D from Public Enemy. The album went on to sell 500,000 copies.
Wow.
Yeah,
bad.
get it. There were other promotions, of course, trailers, and a companion element that we'll get to another day. I'm referring to the movie, the game. Also a comic.
I did my notes file. I called Street Fighter the movie the notes.
Oh man, we already have a name for this. It's got to be called Street Fighter the movie, the episode.
Yeah, there you go.
Street Fighter the movie, the podcast, and then the next one will be Street Fighter the movie, the game, the podcast.
Perfect.
Yeah, there it is.
No changes.
Yeah. So there's a comic named The Battle for Shadaloo, published by DC, and a manga in the June issue of Koro Koro. We'll find those for you, Dave.
Thanks. I need to add to my collection. My growing bookshelf. Of
Hey,
just
we
nightmares.
have the one that was looking over for us that you got me, though. That's from we'll get to that. Also, the anime movie, but that's
Anime movie rules.
It's pretty good. There's some weird choices in there. Some things are very, very strange. But
Speaking of
all right, put a pin in that.
Putting Chun-Li in compromising positions.
the animated movie does that too.
Yes.
And arguably worse.
Yes.
So there was a slapdash red carpet event too, and in an unusual manner, it was held at Capcom's U.S. headquarters in Sunnyvale, California. They sent invitations to press and hosted a Q&A session with the cast. Well, and those that showed up. Van Damme was not present. Neither was Kylie Minogue, Wes Studi, or Raul Julia, obviously. MC Hammer drove into the parking lot, blasting his original song for it, Straight to My Feet. Gross.
Sure.
And raced off.
That guy played Jury, is what I was gonna say.
He just did like a straight up drive-by. Guessing he had to fulfill the appearance quota.
Yeah.
Like
showed
some
up.
way. Like I do love that he was commissioned, and they had to do something in response to Mortal Kombat's Techno Syndrome, which was,
Also,
massive.
they had to do something in response to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze Go Ninja by Vanilla Ice.
I forgot about that. But I'm sure the folks listening are dying to find out, how did it perform? Critics first. Our next round of Guess the Rotten Tomatoes score. Who wants to take a swing?
56.
I'm
I
bad at this.
unfortunately looked at it today.
I'm bad at this for
so
good
it's-
movies, so like I don't know, man.
24%.
Okay, Andrew, do you want to just throw a random number out there?
All right, yeah, I'll say the extremes are usually way off from what I would rate something, so I'm gonna say this is a 17.
Okay. Well, I am sad to announce that it's our lowest yet on what we've covered on Hot Button, a lonely 12%. Andrew was closest.
Way too fucking low.
I concur.
Price is Right
Wait, it
rules,
was-
none of us win.
Higher
Yeah.
than Final Fantasy?
No,
Or sorry, lower than Final Fantasy?
lower
rather?
than
Yeah.
Final Fantasy. Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, this movie is
I'm-
definitely more watchable than Final
I'm
Fantasy.
legitimate.
Totally.
I am
Yeah.
so mad.
I know.
Legitimately
No,
mad.
yeah, when I read that, I was like, fuck this. This was from 41 reviews, with the consensus being, quote, though it offers mild entertainment, disagree, through campy one-liners and the overacting of the late Raul Julia, the film is dedicated to him.
Overacting.
Yeah, it was not. No,
Shut up.
that's just
Yeah,
acting.
come on.
Street Fighter's non-stop, so maybe they're in cahoots with the MPAA. Action sequences are not enough to make up for a predictable, uneven storyline.
Killjoys.
Right?
Yeah.
I bet they're fun at parties. So Van Damme faced the most criticism, along with the overstuffed plot, poor editing, unintelligible dialogue, miscast roles, and a lack of engaging characters. Again, these are not my words. But outlets such as the New York Times and Variety made comparisons to the Super Mario Brothers, which they meant to be harsh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, probably not in a positive light,
Yeah, I'm taking that as a positive.
agree.
Yeah.
They
Once again,
both rule.
Just more evidence that all video games are video games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are just the stiffs, though. What did the people think, man? At the time, fans were divided. They enjoyed the effects, set pieces, and M. Bison's performance, but it was more misses than hits with most. As we've gone on, I think like reception for that movie has sort of changed in the eyes of a lot of those fans. Capcom were happy, honestly. They stood behind it. It wasn't the reaction Nintendo had to their turkey, where they just pretended like it never existed. Like they just buried the Mario Brothers movie. Capcom was like, no, yeah, this is us. And when it came to the box office, it opened at 3rd, then dropped hard that second week to 7th. Not great. And in between that Friday and Saturday, it is 2. This was a 3.1 million to 1.7. That's a 55% disparity. Ouch. Domestically, it did earn 33 mil from its run, and abroad, it did better. They were even able to recoup its budget by the end, when the worldwide gross landed it at $99.4 million.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Not bad at all.
VHS sales and rentals greatly assisted in the ensuing year. That and broadcasts on TV, which boosted that total to 165 million when added to the theater revenue. Like, it definitely could have been worse. Like, yeah. In June of 95, the crew was delighted to see that Julia had been
Posthumously?
Posthumously, yeah.
I always that's a mouthful for me. Was nominated at the 21st annual Saturn Awards for Best Supporting Actor. He was up against Richard Attenborough, Robert De Niro, Bill Paxton, rip, another. But James Spader and winner Gary Sinise and Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan.
Really?
Himself, yeah.
You won.
Mm-hmm.
No offense to Gary Sinise there, but
Yeah. Kyle Minogue, or Cammy, went to become an international pop star, or continued to be. She landed a #1 single on the Billboard charts, Can't Get You Out of My Head. I heard it. It's fine. Though she does want to get back into acting again. She was in that San Andreas earthquake flick with The Rock.
Yep.
I saw it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's generous.
It is generous. Outside of those shining stars, Hollywood was none too kind to the remainder of our protagonists, whether deserved or just perceived. The final product reeked of failure. The lead actors never managed to nab another big role. Van Damme's career especially tanked, even taking a break from performing altogether from 1999 to 2008. But remember what happened in 2008.
The housing crisis.
No,
Recession.
The writer's strike.
the movie that you told us about, Austin, that one, the where he plays his own exaggerated persona. Have you guys?
Oh, yeah, JCVD.
Yeah, Dave, you were the
Yes.
only one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's called JCVD, and it's and
it's great.
and apparently it's awesome. Like, and
Yeah.
people say he's great in it. So that was kind of his big return since 1994. Yeah, we'll have to. I'm curious about that. We'll have to check that out. Looks like a good time. Meanwhile, DeSalza went on to sell a script for Stallone's Judge Dredd, not to be confused with the fucking amazing Dredd film from 2012 by Pete Travis and Alex
Very
Garland. Yeah. He also wouldn't sit in the director's chair again until 2000 with Showtime's World War II drama Possessed. This to little attention. Yeah, we're all shrugging.
Yeah.
Not that his connection to games was over. In 2003, he was credited in storying Eidos's Tomb Raider to the silver screen with the Cradle of Life, Lara Croft's somehow crappier follow-up to the 2001. But it wasn't all doom and gloom for everybody involved. Pacerni, he's now 86, stayed busy. He continued on doing stuff for True Lies, which is great. He worked as a stunt driver for the Need for Speed. Another adaptation. I haven't seen that. I didn't hear positive buzz.
The one with Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah, Aaron
Like
Paul.
Aaron Paul, right? Yeah.
In contrast with the others, he does not reflect on the Street Fighter movie shoot with any joyful memory. Outright insulting the DeSalza's methods and ability. Oh, jeez. And that it could have been something more than it was. A judgment we can't make, but trainer Benny still trains, teaching privately, kickboxing being his top forte. And this wasn't it for Street Fighter's non-gaming future. Later that fall, a North American animated series was produced. It aired within the Cartoon Express block on the USA Network and lasted a whole 26 episodes.
Yeah, this is the one that has that hilarious gif where they have Balrog running out of something in the distance, but they don't resize him, so he's just absolutely miniature. It's hysterical because they're like, yeah, we can't just like keep on drawing all these frames of him getting bigger as he walks into the foreground, so he just remains tiny.
It's a Balrog. It's adorable.
I'm gonna find it. You keep going.
Yeah. The reception of this was astronomically negative. Worse than anything that I've read about what we watched. And also, in an interesting choice, the general narrative was written to be a continuation of sorts from where the film left off. I guess we'll have to take their word.
They were originally hoping to create a sequel. Obviously, they had the stinger.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
There were things working against that,
And-
namely recipes Raul Julia. But
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And as we've previously discussed, the other side of the spectrum in terms of like it's people backing it is the anime Street Fighter 2 movie. I don't have a year of when that came out.
It was around the same time. It might have been.
I think it was like maybe 95.
Yeah,
maybe
I think it
6.
was mid 90s for sure.
Okay.
After the movie.
Fast forwarding to 2003, rumors of a proposed sequel emerged. One that included the return of Dam as well as Dolph Lundgren out of retirement and Holly Valance. It never materialized. There's always talks, I suppose, but this spread from an ESPN interview with the two where Lundgren said something, though, I don't know, who cares about that? We have a very real movie to discuss. 2000
The actual sequel.
2009's Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li.
What a hot piece of garbage.
The rest of the planet may have forgotten, but
I saw it.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
What's your take?
It sucks.
I've heard it's like painfully boring.
It's
So
worse than the Dead or Alive movie, and that's saying something because the Dead or Alive movie sucks.
yeah.
bar so low you'll trip over.
So this was prepped as a non-canonical offshoot to release in partner to the hotly anticipated Street Fighter 4. It chronicles the quest of Chun-Li's origins. This with the titular hero played by Smallville's Kristen Cruick. Wait a minute.
I know that name for other reasons I'm not going to get into because that's a huge diversion.
I can't believe I did not connect those dots until just now. Woof.
For those at home, Google Nexium. And then,
NXIVM.
Fuck.
Yep. We'll just leave that there.
She's not the Smallville actress that got arrested, but
She was also involved.
she was involved.
We're just gonna
I can't find this
Sidestep
tiny
past
Balrog.
that.
I'm very upset.
Well,
I've been looking
honestly.
so desperately. But he runs out of an elevator and they don't resize him, and he is about 3 inches tall, and it's hysterical.
Aw.
Sorry.
Adorable.
awesome. There was also Neil McDonough as M. Bison, Chris
Oh.
Klein as Charlie Nash,
Interesting choice.
Yeah.
Neil McDonough's great though.
Michael Clark Duncan
Yeah.
as
Shooter-
Bullrog.
Shooter McGavin, man.
Damn.
Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas as Vega.
Huh.
Okay. It was fronted by Doom director Andrzej Bart Kowiak.
I think
wanna
you nailed it.
Take a second
I
run on
think
that
you
one.
nailed it.
Polish names haunt me. Flashbacks to the Hatred episode. Would you be surprised to hear that many folks skipped this one, myself included? And a wise decision, as it bombed like there's no tomorrow. It raked in $12.8 million against its budget of $50 million, and its contention for probably one of the worst motion pictures ever made. It has a 3% on Rotten Tomatoes, edging out our Topics 12 4 times over. Fox abruptly canceled sequel plans to that. So not to lament on that trash fire, the short films and the web miniseries after. We don't want to be recording forever, but to revisit the seed I planted dozens and dozens of pages ago, there is a chapter of this tale not yet told, one that we will have to resign ourselves to next episode here on Hot Button. So you ain't gonna want to miss that. So that's all for Street Fighter: the official movie. A sometimes fondly remembered, sometimes not, wonky adaptation that forever rides the line between fun and awful. I think it's personally
fun.
on the fun side. Yeah,
I'm not even
I'm
gonna
trying to
pretend
be
it is
objective,
good.
but
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not awful.
yeah, I think some of
It
the,
is-
like this response here is mean. Time Magazine and Game Trailer still lambast to get into the late 2000s, though. Like, it's no Uwe Boll joint or
on.
anything. Those are just tedious. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's
like
just bullshit.
5,
No,
6 years
flogs.
later, like
I want to take.
I know.
I'm gonna take anybody who said that this movie is bad and Clockwork Orange them and force them to watch the Legend of Chun-Li.
You mean you're going to
Yeah, or
Blanca
even
them?
So,
Yeah, I think
So wait.
compare and contrast.
what do you think the Blanca-like creature would be that was programmed on just the Legend of Chun-Li over and over again?
But it's even like, me, you, and Austin and Andrew, we saw the Assassin's Creed movie.
That movie's trash.
Yeah, like this was miles away better.
Yeah,
than
what if
that.
you Assassin's
Like,
Creeded them the movie where you just put them in a machine that slams them against the floor and over? Jeez.
Yeah, the animus in that movie is like, why would you design it that way?
I mean, it was better. It was better than Monster Hunter. Remember, we watched that.
Oh.
The Capcom, and better than the Resident Evil.
I still
Welcome
am
to Raccoon City.
disappointed that Ron Perlman was not the kitty. That was all I wanted out of that. I wanted that to be the big reveal. What are the species?
Palico.
Calico.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be
He was
the
in
big
it though.
reveal. He was.
Yeah.
The Maine Coon.
I would go as far as to say this is probably the best movie based on a Capcom property.
Yeah.
No,
Like
because there's this,
live
well, the Street
live
Fighter
action
animated
movie.
movie. Okay, yeah.
Well,
live
yeah,
action movie. Yeah.
But thank you guys, and thank you listeners. Thank you Polygon, GamePro, IMDb, Box Office Mojo. There's more. Please join us again for the second half of a related story. It equally contains the same dose of craziness you've come to expect from us. This, and there will absolutely be more commentaries in the pipeline. We're not letting you off the hook yet, so
I don't know what's coming next, and frankly, I'm afraid.
it's probably either MK or Doom,
Oh.
right? Like, and those will probably
yeah.
also be
Those will be okay.
Yeah.
It could be a lot
A
worse.
handful of years from now, Hollywood's going to try the Street Fighter movie thing again anyway. So that those rights just got
I was
repurchased.
gonna
or
say,
whatever.
yeah,
Really?
those rumors
Yes.
are abound
No
again.
shit, I didn't have that in here.
They tried.
Okay.
They tried Mortal Kombat again. They're making a sequel to that.
Yeah, that movie wasn't bad, but I was so disappointed. It really could have been something better.
Yeah.
And like,
I'll
that let me
tell you
down.
right now, and we'll see how well this ages by the time it's published, because we're rapidly encroaching on the
they
release
did
date.
announce
for
that.
Mortal-
Who's a fucking Johnny Cage? It's
Johnny Cage.
it's
I
Carl
believe
Urban.
is
right?
Oh yeah. Oh man, I'd have to go. Yeah, I think that's right. I think
Yeah,
it is
Carl
Urban.
Urban.
Urban?
I got cast.
I like Carl Urban, but
Me
as
too.
Johnny Cage?
It's
I think he could do it, honestly.
I think how else is American like?
His American. I think it's fine. It's just I don't know.
But
you don't associate him with a spoiled playboy like type, but like he's kind of grimdark.
Coming up on the Mortal Kombat 1 release, people have spotted somebody in the trailers that looks like it might be the video game version of Cole Young from that most recent Mortal Kombat movie. So we'll see.
Is that a country singer?
Cole Young is the audience surrogate that they added in the Mortal Kombat
which was
movie.
the worst. You don't need that. They made a Mortal Kombat movie that has no Mortal Kombat tournament, and they're like MK already has some of the most fun and recognizable like fighting game characters ever, and instead they're like, well, we need some like dorky, boring guy to like guide you through the movie. And it's like, no, you don't. Yeah, like you don't need this. The new Mortal Kombat games are like they're better written, are gorier and more even comedic than that movie was going for. Like it's now we'll take a brief moment here to celebrate Raul Julia, who did tragically pass away on October 24th, 1994 at age 54 by complications from a stroke, just about 2 months prior to Street Fighter hitting theaters. This wouldn't necessarily be his only swan song, though. That following year in 95, Raul received a SAG Award, an Emmy Award, a Cable Ace Award, and a Golden Globe for his performance in HBO's The Burning Season. Later, he was then nominated to be included on AFI's 100 Years, 100 Stars list. New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani declared November 21st Raul Julia Day. And lastly, in 1996, got formally inducted onto Broadway's Hall of Fame. So not bad.
And all that just for his M. Bison performance, huh?
Yeah. And in 97, the Puerto Rico Chamber of Congress created a scholarship in his honor to help provide a college education to teens. That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, King.
Yeah. And with that, let's make the impossible pivot and call it with the plugs. Good luck.
Okay. Thank you for listening. If you have not watched the commentary,
check it out.
You can find that episode and many more, including our Super Mario Brothers one and the one where we talk about the Mortal Kombat, the Supreme Court case.
There's some overlap there too. Yeah.
Final Fantasy. Hotbuttoncast.com. You can also check us out on any podcast service.
Our 100th episode.
Our 100th episode just came out on the Gizmondo.
Yeah.
And you can
make that movie.
Stay tuned to social media for Street Fighter, the movie, the game, the podcast coming soon. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at HotButtonCast. I'm not signing up for Threads. I don't
think Threads is doing well anyway, isn't it?
I'm not going to do Mastodon. I'm not going to do any of this shit.
Blue Sky, that's another one, right?
About
Blue
QQ.
Sky.
If these three fail, we're just not going to have a social media presence. I'm going to state that now.
Or Weibo.
Weibo is the Chinese one.
Yeah, that's what
Chinese Twitter. Yeah. Well, thank you for listening.
And if anyone is able to recreate that Pogo the Clown as M. Bison painting, please contact us immediately.
Yes, if you're an artist who wants to draw that for us to hang up in the studio, we will.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Not stop, drop, not lean. If you know what I mean, I'm to my feet. Straight to my feet.